We all have a lot on our plates. Work, kids, relationships. And sometimes it can be hard to just catch a breath. When life is go, 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 it matters where you stay. Hilton's family of brands is team members dedicated to making you feel truly cared for, so you can mentally check out before you even check in. Take the break you deserve and book your next stay on Hilton.com. Hilton, for the stay.
By giving, people will be helping Nationwide Children's Hospital find cures, brighten patients' holidays, and people will be able to support their neighbors when they need it most. When they donate, they will activate in real time a butterfly-inspired light show for patients this holiday season. They will add holiday cheer to the lives of kids who really need a reason to smile. No one wants to think about their child being sick, but should that day come, the donation they make this year could help the care their child could need in the future. Please give now at nationwidechildrens.org/give.
The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
This is Speedball Mike Bailey. You're listening to Keepin It Strong Style. Yosh.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the ASA podcast on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here with Karen Peterson from Post Wrestling. On today's show, we'll discuss Sasha Banks' interview nights 13 through 16 of the World Tag League and Super Junior Tag League Tour and cover all its news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. You can support our show by subscribing and following the Social Suplex Podcast Network or Keeping It Strong Style on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. You can also get all the podcasts over at socialsuplex.com. Check out our Pro Wrestling Tees store, prowrestlingtees.com/social suplex. That's where you can get your official Keeping It Strong Style t-shirt. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider making a one-time or monthly donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and clicking the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. This week's episode is brought to you by the NJPW EXT, the only browser extension for NJPWWorld.com. With features like dark mode, improved translations and layouts, custom and shared playlists, synchronized viewing parties, and much, much more. It takes NJPW World to the next level. Visit njpwext.us today for details. And as you heard, I'm joined by Karen filling in for the young boy this week. He's getting ready for his FINRA exam that he's mentioned on the show a couple weeks ago. So that exam was coming up right around this time period for this week, and he needed to buckle down and study for that and take that test. I think it's tomorrow he's taking that. So, Karen, thanks for filling in.
Don't worry. As I said before, I'm going to send the young boy my bill for my rates. You know, I'm back from excursion. My stock's gone up. And I got to give him a hard time at least once on the show.
Yeah, your rate's up now. Yeah, every time you go to Japan, that booking rate goes up.
Yes, sir.
And I'll start off here with a question from the Broken Poet on Twitter. It says, how's things with everyone in their lives? So, Karen, how's everything going for you?
I mean, I would be remiss if I wouldn't admit that I do have the post-Japan blues, but, we're counting down to winter vacation starting on this coming weekend. And then, gosh, we're going to sneeze in January is going to be here. So I'm just riding out the rest of December and having a good time. No complaints.
Yeah, it's a very busy holiday season, so, doing all the holiday parties, all the white elephants, all the cookie baking, all that stuff going on in my world. And like we were talking before we recorded, and yeah, we're getting ready for winter break. Going to be off the end of the year and, kicking off into Wrestle Kingdom season, so doing good. Can't complain. But before we jump into some major news items here, just wanted to let all the listeners know that the awards are live. That's right, our end of the year awards, 6th annual End of the Year Awards is live. If you visit bit.ly/KissAwards22, the ballot is live. We got 20 categories for you guys to vote on. This weekend, Josh and I dropped some bonus audio breaking down all the categories and the nominees. Just a reminder, our grading period for this year's awards was from November 14th, 2021 to November 20th, 2022. So our voting period includes last year's Tag League and Super Juniors. Your first place vote gets you 3 points, second place 2 points, and third place gets 1 point in all the categories. After you submitted your ballot, we would love for you guys to share your ballot or share who you voted for on Twitter using the hashtag KissAwards and encourage other New Japan fans to vote and get involved. And so voting will close on December 31st, 11:59 p.m., and then we will announce the winners in the beginning of January. So looking forward to that. We already had a ton of early voters get their ballots in. So also take your time, watch some matches, but don't wait too long. Don't be the last minutes coming in on December 31st at 11:58. Get those votes in.
Yeah, usually I'm helping you guys with the award show, and I'm like, oh, I got to do my submissions. I'm like, I'm going to open up that link right now and just put it on my to-do list.
Perfect. And a plug for you, Karen. So we had a question here from JML. He says, for Karen, how did the idea of you writing for the NJPW 1972 site come together? And has Kevin Kelly or Chris Charlton approach you about doing English commentary?
So what happened is back when they first announced, Historic Crossover and the event, like, they were talking about the belt and everything else, I was trying to find information that I could put together for, my column over at Post at Dreamslam Weekly. So I sent an inquiry to the company, and I'm like, I'm having a difficult time finding information on Stardom in English, because yes, I do translate and I do speak it, but you know what? Their bios area and their history area, it's very, very sparse, doesn't have a lot of information. So I'm like, reached out. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm trying to put together something like a primer or something that would, bring this all together, because it's a big deal. And actually the offer was sent to me because there was a hyper awareness that the whole conversation about the IWGP Women's Championship and Historic Crossover was a conversation that was being led by men about women's wrestling. So it was, President Obari was talking about it. Tanahashi was talking about it. Kidani was talking about it. Rossy Ogawa was talking about it. But there was no female voice involved. So they're like, well, we reference your work on camera regularly when we're covering Stardom, when they're not picking on me about Show and Yo. So they're like, well, would you be interested in writing for the site? And I'm like, sure. It was one of those things where it's like, sounded really bizarre when the table got turned on to me and be like, do you want to write for us? And I was like, sure, that'd be amazing. Because for me, it's like, I wanted to contribute something, whether it was like on my own work or at Post, or in this case, New Japan. So it was really weird seeing my government name on the New Japan website with like my column. And I had to keep reminding people, I'm like, I don't work for New Japan. It's freelance. I'm just visiting. I'm just hanging out for the next couple of weeks until we get, because there were a lot of people who, watch New Japan regularly, but don't necessarily watch Stardom. And since the Stardom website doesn't have any English available, and there was no, like, other than, your Wikipedias and your fan created books and ebooks, there was no singular place that Historic Crossover could reference, or that English commentary could reference with regards to Stardom. So I was like, all right, sure, here you go. So it was really weird. It was weird and awesome in a good way, but I have to keep reminding people, no, I don't work for New Japan, because people were like, well, when is this show going to be on New Japan World? I'm like, bro, I don't work there. I wouldn't be opposed to a more permanent working relationship with them. And while there hasn't been any discussion about me working for New Japan with English commentary, Kevin Kelly has been on record, actually, when I interviewed him prior to Historic Crossover, saying that he wanted a female voice for Stardom. And should that time come, he wants me to be the female voice of Stardom. So I back in September last year when they first started calling the Stardom matches, I put it out in the universe. I said, I want to call Stardom commentary, send. And I was like, I never thought anything would ever come of it, but it just seems like maybe someday I'm not saying like January 1st, guess who's going to the Dome, because I'm not, but it may turn into something. It may not turn into something, but if it does, I just hope everybody will be on board with it and excited for me.
Oh, definitely. You'll definitely have support of the Keeping It Strong Style boys in our fan base. And yeah, your work that you did on the website on NJPW1972.com, those columns, kind of walking through all the factions and wrestlers and previewing the matches was awesome. It was definitely,
thank you.
Yeah, a great tool, especially for like Stardom. Like, I mean, I'm kind of in and out of Stardom, and we do have James and Rich here on One Nation Radio covering Stardom, but I think for a lot of newer fans, that those guides really help, especially like the match breakdown. But all right, this is why these people are wrestling each other, and this is stars, and this is Oedo Tai and like all this stuff. So yeah, it was a really great resource for new fans.
Thank you. And especially when it came to like the mixed matches, everyone's just like, why? What are these? Why are these people thrown together? And it's like, and I was like, well, why are they thrown together? And then I had to, I had to do a little bit of research, and I'm like, wait, there's layers. There's lots of layers that no one's talking about. I'm like, bro, this is what people need to know before we get in.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, hopefully, we'll continue more of that as we see more Stardom and New Japan crossovers and more women's matches featured in New Japan. But speaking about women featured in New Japan, I think we got to kick the show off talking about Sasha Banks. There's been lots of news going around about Sasha Banks and connections with New Japan Pro Wrestling. So Dave Meltzer confirmed on Saturday a report from Mike Johnson of PWI Insider that Banks would be appearing at Wrestle Kingdom 17 on January 4th. Additionally, he said that while WWE could still sign Banks, New Japan believes she'll be free and clear to appear on the show by January 4th. And then according to a report from our friends over at Voices of Wrestling, initial negotiations between Sasha Banks and Bushiroad began many months ago, shortly after Banks walked out on WWE. Currently, there has been what is described to VOW as a limited appearance deal on the table with a per appearance fee that would be significantly higher than what New Japan paid for Chris Jericho and would make Banks by far the highest paid contracted Bushiroad wrestler. Back in October, Banks teased a potential matchup with the current IWGP Women's Champion Kairi. She posted a fan-made match graphic to her Instagram stories that Kairi later shared on her Twitter. And then 1 month after sharing that graphic, Kairi did become the IWGP Women's Champion at Historic Crossover on November 20th, where she defeated Mayu Iwatani in the finals to win the title. Karen, what are your thoughts on Sasha Banks, or should I say Mercedes Moné, how are she saying that, coming to New Japan Pro Wrestling and being involved potentially in the IWGP Women's title scene?
It's a lot to unpack. And there are a lot of positive things about it. One, I love that she knows her worth. And people might say she's in the mess around and find out stage, but you know what? She's challenging them to pay her what she's worth. And if she can secure that bag, good for her. Mm-hmm. Especially if she's getting more than Jericho money, then that's significant. And when you think of companies that could afford to keep or to hire Sasha Banks / Mercedes Varnado, Mercedes Moné, whichever moniker we're going to use for this, like first comes to mind, other than WWE, to contract her in more than just a per appearance situation, AEW is the only other place I can think of, honestly. Mm-hmm. No disrespect to Impact or Ring of Honor. I love them. They got me through the pandemic, but they don't have that bankroll.
Right.
And New Japan, I'm guessing if they're going to be able to afford this limited appearance deal with a significantly higher rate than Jericho, they're getting that Bushiroad money. It's not Stardom money. They're opening Kadani's wallet and they're going for it. Now, my biggest concerns is one, announcing this 3 weeks or just a month before Wrestle Kingdom is problematic. For one reason is that it totally eclipses the match that Kairi has. Kairi, after she won at Historic Crossover, Tam Nakano was picked as her first opponent. They've been building that since November 20th. But now no one's talking about Tam anymore. People are wondering if if Mercedes is going to run and like push her off the stage, if there's going to become a three-way, triple threat all of a sudden. It's completely derailed the conversation, and eliminated Tam's credibility as somebody who could potentially dethrone Kairi. And Tam is one of Stardom's top contracted talent.
Right.
Kairi, while she regularly works with Stardom, she is not contracted there. She's a freelancer. And a lot of people forget that delineation. My biggest concern is she could still be signed away from WWE, that they have not put pen to paper, but I'm pretty sure that part of that is the contract tampering situation that's probably going on with her non-compete right now. That is supposed to end on the 31st at midnight or whenever, new year, new me, whenever she's up with that. And I understand releasing that information, saying that she's going to be there, because if you want to make a statement, as you were, about a big competitor, she'd be a great one to make. I just wish the timing was slightly different, because had, say her contract or her non-compete ended in November and she walked out at Historic Crossover, they're already talking about Kenny Omega Ospreay, and she walks out to challenge, then I would be fine with this, what's going on right now. But the fact that they've already set up 2 matches for Kairi between now and then, neither of which are with her. She hasn't put pen to paper on anything. She can get signed away at any minute. Like those as if we've learned nothing from the never open weight situation with Carl Anderson, it's risky not to put somebody in a contract, not to lock them in.
Right.
Because whether or not the whole Saudi Arabia thing with the never open weight championship and, Carl being double booked, if it was storyline or not, they spun it into a storyline. That's great. But if you're going to build someone like Mercedes to come into New Japan to give to basically hook in all the WWE fans, especially the Sasha fans, you need something a little more concrete.
Right.
For me, it's like I want to be excited. God, I want to be so excited about this. But at the same time, it's like I also have realistic expectations. I know she's not walking into the Dome on January 4th to wrestle.
Right.
She can't.
Yeah, a lot of reports have been saying, she's going to make an appearance on the show, but she is not going to wrestle.
But people are going to sit through 6 hours or 8 hours of Wrestle Kingdom to see her walk out after her match with Kairi, walk that long ramp to the ring and cut a promo and then leave. Like it's just like I want to know a little bit more. And because the other thing is that there is a second night of Wrestle Kingdom that nobody's talking about, January 21st at the Yokohama Arena. Yes, it's a significantly smaller venue, but is this a match that they're going to have in Japan on a Wrestle Kingdom branded event, or is it going to be people are already talking about Battle in the Valley in February 18th? So is it a match in the United States? Is it a match in Japan? I don't know what they're doing with it. And it just seems like they're releasing too many details before Kairi actually defends the belt for the first time.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things like, yes, I don't want Kairi to be a transitional champion. I don't want her to hot potato the belt to Tam and then have Tam fight Sasha or Mercedes. But for me, I don't see Stardom being able to afford to have Mercedes contracted. Like, if anything, she'll be like Kairi. She'll come in, she'll do a couple of dream matches, a couple of tags maybe, but that's it. You're not going to get her in the 5-star Grand Prix for 2 months. You're not going to get her in the Cinderella tournament, because those are to make younger and newer talent who have a far much longer booking arc within Stardom.
Right.
So it's just like I need more concrete details, but I also want Kairi's defense against Tam to be exciting, and this has completely taken all the air around it out and completely shifted the focus, even past Kairi, entirely to Mercedes.
Yeah, that is the one unfortunate thing about that. Yeah, just kind of derailing or kind of taking the steam away from the first, big defense of the IWGP women's title between Kairi and Tam, which is going to be an awesome matchup. But the plus side, though, I'd say of this news coming out right now is, we saw what happened a few years ago when the news broke that Chris Jericho was coming to New Japan. New Japan World subscriptions skyrocketed. There was a huge boom in interest from the Western fans in seeing Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega that year. And so I think we're going to see a similar thing. We know how the Sasha stands get down. They are ride or die. They are going to support her no matter where she goes. So with this kind of news kind of buzzing right now, obviously nothing official has come out from New Japan. But with all this buzz, I think we're going to see once again another skyrocket in New Japan World subscriptions, kind of a renewed interest from the Western fan base, and maybe even like a new kind of audience, maybe like that WWE fan base with those Sasha stans coming in and watching a New Japan for the first time, watching their first full Wrestle Kingdom. It's definitely going to be great to get some exposure to New Japan through this Sasha Banks following. And yeah, I did see the rumors of like the next events being set up for Battle in the Valley, and I have a hard time just seeing as of right now, Sasha or Mercedes. I'm going to be calling her Sasha for a long time.
Mercedes.
I have a hard time seeing her showing up at something like a Battle in the Valley. Like, no offense to the U.S. Pay-per-views.
That's my thing. Like, put that match on at Dominion. Like, make it big.
Yeah, so I have a feeling we're mainly going to see her wrestling in Japan probably for New Japan Stardom Bushi Road. Until things kind of increase with the New Japan stuff in America. Like if they were doing like Madison Square Garden, Wrestle Dynasty, then yeah.
Oh, remember Wrestle Dynasty? Good time.
Yeah, R.I.P. Wrestle Dynasty. If they were doing something like that, I'm like, oh yeah, for sure Mercedes would be on that show. But I don't see her showing up to the San Jose Civic Center for Battle in the Valley. But yeah, you mentioned Yokohama Arena, the second night of Wrestle Kingdom. I definitely think that's something that could happen. There's a lot of rumors that that's going to be a potential Forbidden Door 2 kind of thing with AEW being involved, because you do have Darby and Sting that will be there the next day for the Muta retirement show. So there's
that's at Noah, right?
Yeah, that's a Noah show. Yeah.
Okay. But it's all the same weekend.
Right, all the same weekend. So Darby and Sting are already there, and people are kind of putting the pieces together that, oh yeah, there might be some kind of AEW involvement. And plus, Tony Khan this past weekend at the Ring of Honor press conference mentioned that New Japan will play a big part in the relaunch of Honor Club. So I don't know exactly what that means. So maybe that's also part of the Yokohama stuff. So a lot's going on around that Yokohama show.
Yeah, it's really interesting, especially with what I like about it is because they used to do the Global Wars thing with New Japan, so they have that whole library there, and showing you when they're on excursion. So I think Hiromu did some time in Ring of Honor as well. So it's great to see that happening. But my problem is if they're going to do a Forbidden Door 2 on January 21st, they've got 5 weeks to build it. And that needs to start now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like Forbidden Door last time where it was like half of it was a blood and guts build up, which just totally took away from the whole point of Forbidden Door itself. So they need to better like organize and be more upfront about it. People aren't going to be excited if you throw it all together at the last minute.
Yeah, I know. I have a feeling that they're going to try and use Wrestle Kingdom to like maybe kick it off, build some angles at the Dome. Obviously, FTR is going to be there. Kenny Omega is going to be there. So there will be AEW presence on the Dome. So they might kind of kickstart some stuff there, maybe make the special announcement there and build a stuff. Even though, yeah, it probably would be better to start building earlier. But I think, too, from a New Japan side, you don't want to kind of eclipse Wrestle Kingdom Night 1 in Tokyo Dome building up for Yokohama Arena.
They already did that, though. I mean, it's also the Antonio Inoki Memorial. So I mean, it's some like there are going to be special things at the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah.
But if you're going to build, if you're not going to treat the night in Yokohama this on the same level as the Tokyo Dome and start giving it like an adequate build, call it something different. Don't call it Wrestle Kingdom, because then you're not treating it the same. It's New Year's Dash with a bigger budget and a bigger venue.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of using the Wrestle Kingdom branding more than once. I get it if you're doing the back-to-back nights, but on a show that's several weeks away, I think they should just if it is going to be Forbidden Door, call it that Forbidden Door 2, or call it something different besides Wrestle Kingdom.
I mean, New Beginning would be the New Beginning series starts around that time anyway, after the New Year's Golden series. So I just feel like they need a singular naming that's apart from Wrestle Kingdom for it. But that's neither here nor there. We don't work there.
But another interesting part about this whole Mercedes coming in, a lot of the reports have been focusing on like New Japan being the main one to bring her in, and most of her communications being with New Japan Bushiroad, not necessarily Stardom and Rossi Ogawa. which has a lot of people kind of questioning things. And this kind of comes in where Josh's conspiracy theory comes in, which I was telling to you off air. So, Josh he's mentioned on the air before, but he has this whole theory that this could potentially lead to New Japan maybe like merging Stardom in, or kind of like
God, no.
the
God, I hope not.
like the potential blow of Joshi, and New Japan kind of dominate the Joshi scene, because that they're going to be IWGP women's title matches. Is New Japan going to start forming their own women's roster and kind of pick away from Stardom? They're seeing the popularity that Stardom has and Joshi right now, because they've been kind of trying to capitalize on that and kind of create their own Joshi division in New Japan and just kind of combine things. So there's a lot of people, not just Josh, kind of pointing that out and seeing maybe this is not the best thing for Stardom as a whole to have this women's title, and for New Japan to be kind of starting potentially its own women's division.
The way I'm looking at it, and I'm cautiously optimistic about it, is that the purpose of the IWGP Women's Championship is to be more for the international, they were talking about having it on par with the international standard, which is, your WWEs, your AEWs, your Rev Pro UKs, Impact, whatever, promotions that have both men and women. I could see this championship being more of a centerpiece for their international shows.
Mm-hmm.
Than it would be for absorbing Stardom or breaking down Stardom. I think if they were to erase Stardom and absorb them into New Japan, it becomes problematic, because unlike the Western fans that kind of have, you think of a Venn diagram, the center part that's like the overlap between the New Japan fans and Stardom fans, that part is significantly larger outside of Japan.
Right.
In Japan, it's very much, there is overlap, but your Stardom fans like Stardom and your New Japan fans like New Japan. Some of them are very much against the merging of the two. Like, even Historic Crossover was towing that line for a lot of people. So it's I don't think they're going to create their own women's division, but they are going to have to, either whomever they pick as their champion, they're going to have to work with Stardom on dispatching people to the international shows for title defenses.
Right.
Part of the problem is Stardom's schedule is so, they have sometimes it feels like they have a harder schedule than New Japan does at times, with the way that their weekends are booked so heavily.
Yeah, they have a pay-per-view every weekend.
Yeah, literally there's at least 1 to 2 pay-per-views a month. And it's one of those things where anytime a Stardom talent is sent abroad and they miss a show, the fans in Japan get very, very vocal about it and get very, very upset about it. It's the same thing when New Japan runs concurrent shows. It's you put out, for example, Battle in the Valley. Okada is supposedly going to be at Battle in the Valley again.
Mm-hmm.
If they run shows in Japan that same weekend, all of the Okada fans are going to be upset that Okada is not on the show. Because when they started launching the US brand, there was the discussion that they were going to do their best not to have overlapping schedules.
Right.
That it would be designed in a way where if we're running a show in the US or the UK or Australia, whatever, it's not going to conflict with shows running in Japan. Therefore, the Western audience can get everybody they want and it not be a problem with in Japan. The problem is that since they gave us that idea, it's been anything but that. There's always concurrent shows. They're not sending the entire roster over. So I don't think they could do that to Stardom, honestly, especially with as much money as Stardom has brought into Bushiroad since its acquisition. Its bottom line was it grew 5 to 10 times in the course of 3 years.
Yeah.
So it's that's their cash cow. The IWGP Women's Championship, not a cash cow for New Japan, and not a cash cow for Stardom. The right now it's because it's on Kairi. So of course it's tying the two of them together because she's a legacy talent from Stardom. If they're going to say put it on Mercedes at some point and her work a couple of dates, whether it's in Japan or the United States, I could see that happening. But it's one of those things where I don't with as large as New Japan's roster is, I don't see them start breaking 50 years of tradition to create a women's division to make it more like WWE when they have a sibling promotion that they can work with moving forward.
Right.
Then all of a sudden Stardom, they're not treating Stardom as an equal anymore. They're treating Stardom as we're gonna cherry pick all the popular ones and put them into New Japan. No, that's not gonna work.
Yeah, and I think it totally kind of just ruins the dynamics of how New Japan and Stardom work right now.
Correct.
Right now you have an 8-match card on both sides of all the roster members being featured on those shows. If you combine the rosters, or you kind of pick apart the top stars of Stardom and create a separate women's division, that's a whole nother like time slot now that you essentially you have to rearrange the tours and the cards, because it can't be like American wrestling where you have like one women's match on the show. Like, Japanese fans are going to want to see more Joshis involved in the card, so then you're having to do like maybe 4 men's matches and 4 women's matches, and you're getting less time for certain talents, and then that's going to lead to cutting people. I mean, I'm sure obviously you can probably cut some of the older talent, but still, I mean, New Japan has a ton of talent right now, especially when you look at the domestic side and what's happening with the LA Dojo and some of the New Japan of America contracts, and then what's going on in the Noge Dojo and Fale's Dojo. Like, New Japan has a super big pipeline, and of course they're partnering with AEW and Impact and
CMLL.
Yeah, CMLL. So there's so much male talent and stuff that they're doing right now with how their cards are formatted. And then same thing for Stardom. I mean, they have a full women's roster. They have their dojo system. They're cranking out. They have their New Blood shows. They're doing their pay-per-views, like we're saying, once or twice a month. Like, they have a stacked lineup as well. So I have a hard time seeing them wanting to get rid of what they're doing right now.
I think it would be detrimental to Bushiroad as a whole, largely because it would cause a domino effect. Because you'd end up alienating your New Japan fans, you end up alienating your Stardom fans, you worry about situations where talent's like, well, this isn't what I signed up for, I'm leaving. You worry about a talent exodus. You worry about people getting signed away, or NXT Japan coming back on the table. Like those are the things you have to think about. So it's like, as crazy as a good old, I do love a good conspiracy theory. I think the IWGP Women's Championship and working with Stardom heavily, and when they had Rumble on 44th Street back in October, Mayu had a SWA Women's Championship and that title defense, and that is a Stardom championship. And after she defended it, she got back to Japan, relinquished that belt so she could focus on the IWGP Women's Championship. So I could easily see that IWGP Women's Championship being not the New Japan Strong belt, but whenever there's a big championship defense that on a co-branded show or a New Japan branded show, you may have Stardom talent on it, but they're not necessarily going to be in the IWGP Women's Championship match.
Right, and I definitely think for them, I know they said they want to step into like the 21st century and have more women involved, but I feel like that's going to end up being more for the U.S. product. I think we're going to start seeing probably more independent women featured, on that Rumble on 44th Street. We saw like Kylie Ray and some other women featured on those shows. So I think we're on Strong tapings. We'll probably see, women like, maybe like Jordan Grace or Masha Slamovich. Some of these women that are getting really popular in the indies kind of featured on New Japan Strong. And of course, you bring in some Stardom talent that are not busy that weekend. And then I could see the IWGP Women's title being defended at your Wrestle Kingdoms, your Dominions, your, G1 finals on some of these big shows. And especially with the way Mercedes, it sounds like her deal is going to be, she's going to have limited appearances. So I think, if she does win the title eventually, I think it kind of works for her schedule, because then she can come in for the big shows, have these big defenses, help, get interest from the Western fans. And it doesn't really shake things up too much.
I think the most difficult thing is that a lot of Western fans that don't necessarily watch Stardom, like your AEW fans or your Sasha Mercedes fans, what they don't realize is that New Japan World and Stardom World are 2 separate subscriptions, 2 separate price tags. They're the same price, but you're going to have to, if you're not sure if she's going to be on both of them, you're going to have to sign up for one and possibly sign up for the other, and then keep paying for both.
Right. And
of course, when you have like a singular platform like your network or Wrestle Universe has like 4 different promotions. I think the problem with a boost in subscription rates is great, but maintaining that is going to be where the problem is. Right. Especially if she's not at every single pay-per-view between now and Dominion, for example. Yeah. Or she's not at every single New Japan Strong between now and Dominion. So it's just, I need more concrete details, but I also really want to be excited about Kyrie versus Tam, but nobody's talking about it anymore.
Yeah, well, I think the one good thing with more subscriptions, I think that gives people a chance to just maybe fall in love with New Japan. Maybe
I hope so.
You come for Sasha, but you stay for Ishii, you know?
I mean, or Tanahashi, let's be honest.
Yeah, so definitely a lot of business implications leading into Sasha being involved in New Japan and Stardom going forward. We have a few questions here. First from Rambo and Slam Pig. It says, I know Twitter is in this death spiral, but I'm glad to still be here to watch discourse regarding Sasha Banks. If she is really a free agent, who would you want to see her work a program against the most in Stardom, AEW, or wherever else in the wider wrestling world?
In Stardom, I'm going to go on a limb here, and I'm going to say Julia. I would want to see Sasha versus Julia. I think they would complement each other very well. Julia kind of gives me Becky Lynch vibes at times, so it's kind of like that aggressive, or Bailey vibes also.
Yeah.
Like, well, not the huggy Bailey, like
now Bailey.
She's a Karen Bailey, but not the me kind of Karen Bailey. I'd still claim her though. She's good people. So, but it's one of those, like, I think that there's I don't necessarily think, maybe her and Utami would also be a good one. I don't know about Shuri just yet. It's been admittedly a very long time since I've seen a Sasha Banks match. I know she doesn't have bad matches, guys, but it's like, I need a refresher first. I need to see something current or recent. AEW, oh my gosh, put her against Serena Deeb, Mercedes Martinez, Willow Nightingale, everybody and anybody. I like, honestly, as much as I would love to say, yeah, send her to Stardom, AEW might be the better fit for Sasha, and they would probably be able to afford her more frequently or longer, unless she's going to part-time wrestle and continue filming, like doing movies or TV or fashion shows. Like if that's what her end game is to expand beyond wrestling, then sure, limited appearances here and there are fine. But I guess it all depends on what her goals for New Year, new Mercedes Bernardo is, honestly.
Yeah, and I think, with the amount of money she wants, I know Bushi Road, they have a ton of money. They're planning to, give her a lot of yen to make some appearances. But
the yen's really weak right now, so they're going to be paying a lot of money for her.
Yeah, so, if you want somebody else to kind of help, fill out the rest of what she wants, I'll see Tony Khan is there and has the resources to also pay her very well, so she can get a nice deal working for both promotions, and both, AEW and New Japan are working together now, so it all kind of works out. So maybe she does end up doing both. For me, as far as like Stardom, I think her versus Mayu would be awesome. They're both crazy bumpers, so somebody it's probably a pretty dangerous matchup.
He's sweating the whole time.
Yeah, like which one of them is going to break their necks first? Because they're just so crazy bumpers. I think that would be like a really fun, high-paced matchup for them.
Her versus Tekla would also be really good.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, I think her and Starlight Kid would be a lot of fun also.
I was just going to say that.
On the AEW side, I think probably the biggest match they could do is Britt Baker. I don't know if it probably wouldn't be the best in-ring match, but it'll probably be the biggest, buzz-worthy match.
Jamie Hayter's champion right now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, put her up against Jamie right away.
Yeah, her and Jamie.
Let her jump the queue. Why not? Or
her and Tony Storm.
That's what I was like. I was like, name's on the tip of my tongue. She lives here now. Storm.
Yeah, those are probably like the first few. Definitely, I want to see her mix it up with in AEW. Next question here from Enigma Bird 0. If Sasha beats Kairi for the NJPW belt, what would be next for Kairi? Is she the one to end Saya's reign?
Honestly, I'm hoping that her first match against Kairi, because if we're doing a multi-deal thing, long-term booking, first match is going to be a time limit draw. They're going to drag it out. I don't want Kairi as the inaugural champion to be a transitional champion. I don't want her to defend it once, maybe twice, and then lose it automatically. I need some stability in my. I like titles with stability. I don't like hot potato titles. Kairi does not need to be the one to end Saya's reign. Saya is currently gunning for Momo Watanabe's streak, as her former leader of Queen's Quest turned mortal enemy in Oedo Tai. The Wonder Stardom Championship, it needs to pass to a rising star. Starlight Kid has the longest running feud where she can't, no matter what she does when it comes to the belt, she can't beat Kamitani. Another one who's been chasing the white belt is Mina Shirakawa, who got her jaw busted open back last month and is finally coming back at the end of the month at Stardom Dream Queendom. But it seems that she needed surgery because her bottom teeth got knocked all crooked and her jaw got cracked or something. It did not look pretty.
Yeah, that was a gruesome scene.
So like with the Wonder, Kairi is synonymous with the Wonder of Stardom Championship. She doesn't need it. It needs to be someone. Once I think they're honestly going to keep the belt on Saya until she breaks Momo's streak, and then it'll pass to either Starlight Kid or Mina Shirakawa or Natsupoi would be another one.
Nice. And then Stale Burger Bun says, due to a bizarre clerical issue, Sasha Banks has accidentally joined the NJPW male roster instead of Stardom. Which current NJPW champion should she challenge first and why?
Carl Anderson, get the Never belt back.
I mean, she would be a junior, right? So
yes.
Her Nishimori.
She has to work up to Ishimori. I'm sorry. She needs to start out with like her Watos and her Yos, and like, you know, she needs to like just leave a trail of bodies in her wake. So like start like with the Young Lions. Build up to that.
Start from square one.
I think Liger would come out of retirement for Sasha. Let's be honest.
Oh man, I can see Tanahashi wanted a crack.
After the way he smacked Micah at Historic Crossover, he would send her flying into the 5th row. There's no way. Have her fight Okada, like his drop kick will go over her head with a good like foot of clearance over her.
Yeah. So before we move on to Tag League, one other contract situation we got to talk about. So CyberFight is interested in signing the Golden Star Kota Ibushi. So according to a report from Voices of Wrestling, they're saying CyberFight is very interested in signing Kota Ibushi to be a Pro Wrestling Noah regular and to appear on big DDT shows. So apparently there is a big offer that is on the table currently right now for Kota Ibushi once his New Japan contract expires in January. So Karen, what are your thoughts on Ibushi potentially, switching sides, going over to CyberFight?
Well, I mean, he would be going back to CyberFight because, you know, he got his origins in DDT.
Right.
Honestly, after the past couple of years, I don't really think there's anything left for Kota Ibushi to do in New Japan. As I often joke with WH Park that, you know, Pro Wrestling Noah is for the older guys. You know, he's in his 40s now, so he could easily become GHC heavyweight champion in Noah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think with AEW's working partnership with the CyberFight group, you know, with Tokyo Joshi Pro and DDT and to an extent Noah, it would be the most beneficial for everybody involved, because I think in DDT, Ibushi would be able to wrestle the wrestling he likes to wrestle. His fun wrestling. He likes the comedy wrestling. He likes the crazy wrestling. He can do that. In Noah, he can get, you know, he can scratch that striker fix. You know, he can fight his Kenos and his Nakajimas and Marufujis. And if he wants to work AEW, or if AEW, you know, if they want to, you know, drag him over because they already have Takeshita, sure, why not? I think it'll be easier for everyone to move past the last year and everything that happened with it, should he go somewhere else and be truly happy and love wrestling again.
Yeah, you know, also I would love for things to work out, him stay in New Japan and do some great stuff here, but clearly it seems like that ship has sailed, and yeah, at this point, yeah, I just want Ibushi to be happy. So if he does decide to go over to Noah, I'm sure I'll check out some of his big matches, see what he's doing there. Also, there's a lot of rumors that there's some kind of maybe an AEW deal on the table. Michael Nakazawa was over in Japan. They were pictured together, and Nakazawa tweeted, my mission in Japan was completed. So people are assuming his mission was to send him an AEW contract. And clearly, you know, Kenny is going over there and will be in Japan for Tokyo Dome. So I'm sure they will hang out as well together. So yeah, there's potential. Yeah, maybe he does, do some AEW as well.
The only show I don't think we would see him on, should he switch companies, I don't think we would see him on Forbidden Door.
Right. Yeah.
I think that would be the one, like, much like how Takeshita wasn't on Forbidden Door this year because he works for a rival company within Japan. Should Ibushi make that move, I could see that possibly being the same thing.
Yeah. All right, well, let's jump in now. We had the last few nights of the Super Junior Tag League and the World Tag League, all building up to Wednesday's final show where we'll crown the 2022 Super Junior Tag League and World Tag League winners. So we'll run through the results of the last few nights. Karen, I'd like to get some of your thoughts on some of the teams and some of the action you saw this past weekend. We won't spend a ton of time on the undercards because I did not watch those.
Telling you, man, put it on 2x speed once Kevin Kelly does the narrating. It gets really fun real fast.
Chipmunk Kevin.
Yes.
So we'll start at night 13, which was December 7th. That was a junior night. So showing up, we had Kosei Fujita and Oscar Lube defeating Ryohei Oiwa and Yuto Nakashima. We had a question from Yasmin. Thoughts on Oscar Lube so far?
He's really, really tall.
Yeah.
It was funny because I looked at one of my pictures that I took back in 2020 at my friends and I walked past the New Japan dojo. I actually have a picture with Oscar.
Oh, really?
He's standing right next to me, but he has no hair. Well, I mean, he has no hair now either, but he didn't have any hair at the time and he was on his way back home shortly after. But like most young lions that are getting their start, he's at the bottom of the food chain, so he's the one who's having to fight the hardest, but he's falling into place with the rest of the Noge Dojo guys real quickly and very naturally. I am curious to see like where he ends up on the face heel spectrum eventually. I've got my feelings, but I don't want to like peg it too early. Mm-hmm. But I think the more reps he gets in the ring, the more confident he's going to be. And I think that's the thing right now that he's still working on is his confidence.
Yeah, and especially, some of the young lions that he's wrestling right now are a little bit more experienced than him, been in the dojo longer. So yeah, it is kind of funny of him just being so big and tall to see him like selling for like Oiwa and Vegeta and some of these other like smaller young lions.
Yeah.
But also that's a very important thing for him to learn how to sell and, work with smaller guys. So, I mean, so far from what I've seen, I think he's doing good, progressing well. And I think he's definitely going to be somebody to keep our eyes on, especially with the new kind of, decree from Bushiroad management to get these guys going faster. I mean, maybe in a year from now, we see him on excursion.
I mean, they would need to start thinking of other young lions that are currently in the dojo to start like putting them at ringside or start bringing them out. Because if they're going to talk about, now that Ren Narita and Shota Umino are back, Uemura and Yoda are the only two that are out on excursion right now. Even Michael Richards down in the New Zealand dojo, he's graduated as well recently, apparently. So it's one of those things where it's like they need to start thinking about before they start like dispatching people on excursion. They need to think of one, where they're going to send them, but also who's going to start filling in the young lion trunks while they're gone.
Right. Yeah. And that's one thing we normally don't know, like what the Noge Dojo classes look like right now. So maybe they have people and we just don't know, but yeah, they definitely have to do that. So after that, we had Desperado, Lance Archer, and Suzuki defeating the Bullet Club team of Fale, Gato, and Taiji Ishimori. Then the LIJ team of Hiromu, Sanada, Shingo, and Naito defeated Tanahashi, Yano, Wato, and Hanma. Then we got to the tournament matches. We had the champs, Catch 2-2, Francisco Akira, and TJP defeating Kevin Knight and Kushida. So with this match, Catch 2-2 went up to 12 points, where Knight and Kushida stuck at 2 points. What have been your thoughts on these two teams so far, Karen?
I've noticed that Francesco Akira working with TJP is starting to... He looks far more confident in the ring and more like he's starting to feel like a tag team wrestler. Like when he first got there, he was all fired up and excited, but like he needed someone to kind of guide his energy and like rein him in and remind him that there are two people in the ring, that they're a team.
Yeah.
And I think TJ has done a very good job of that. Kevin Knight and Kushida, I love Knight Rider. I'm a huge Knight Rider fan. As you all know, I love Kushida. He was my window to New Japan. And seeing him back in New Japan for starters, but also working with younger guys like Kevin Knight and seeing that Kevin graduated on this excursion was really awesome.
Yeah, that's definitely been a real fun team to watch. Kevin Knight has a ton of energy, a ton of charisma, And I think him and Kushida gel really well together. I'm loving their team. They got the matching like puff jackets now, and the silver shades, and they got
orange is a hard color to pull off, but they're managing to do it. The pair of them.
Yeah, and this was a really fun matchup here, and I think it was really good for Kevin Knight to getting there with guys like TJP and Akira, who have such more experience than him, and he was hanging in there with those guys, but ultimately also he could not overcome the champs, and TJP and Akira won the matchup there, getting their 2 points and sticking towards the top of the block there. Then after that, we had Lio Rush and your boy Yo defeating the Wild Hips team of Clark Connors and Ryusuke Taguchi. So Lio and Yo, they go up to 12 points as well, while Clark and Taguchi stay at 6 points.
It breaks my heart that they're not calling themselves Lee Yo as a tag team.
It's right there.
It's literally right there. This pairing, when they first announced it, I was kind of like, okay, they're putting Yo in another tag team. But this has been an injection of personality that I've needed him to have since him and Sho broke up last year.
Definitely, yeah.
We're getting a more aggressive Yo, which we know when he first came back after his knee injury and his surgery, he had that aggression, but then he lost it quickly with the whole, breaking down of 3K. And having Lio with him has been great. I also feel at the same time that like Yo's the one in the match who has to be the one to take the pins. Like he gets some of the wins, but like their pairing is all about highlighting Lio, which is good because it's his first time in Japan.
Yeah,
and Connors and Taguchi, they're just here for a good time. They're drinking, they're taking off their pants. They don't care about winning or losing. They're just here to be wild and shake their hips. There's a lot going on in those matches, but I enjoy it.
They're having too much of a good time.
They might, as long as either of them get arrested or the videos get taken down off of like New Japan World. There have been some very creative rope video shot choices.
Yeah.
So they don't have to edit the video later.
Yeah, and also here we had Lio Rush doing his best Stone Cold impression. He took the beers from Clark and Taguchi and gave them both stunners. Spelt the bear on them, shot them the bird. So yeah, fun matchup there for Lio and Yo getting the win there. Then after that, we had Doki and Kanemaru defeating Dick Togo and Sho. So Doki and Kanemaru, they go up to 6 points, while House of Torture, they remain at 2 points. So we've seen from last week, Doki and Kanemaru, that they got their first big win over Catch 2-2 last week, and that kind of got them a little bit momentum going into this week. And here they once again picked up another win over Sho and Dick Togo here.
Yeah. It is what it is. I'm actually kind of glad that House of Torture is like just eating loss after loss after loss.
Yeah, same here.
I love Sho, but this ain't it for him. I need him to graduate from his Joker phase and go back to being a baby face. I'm speechless. Like they've ruined Sho. But yeah, so yeah, Doki and Kanemaru able to outmaneuver House of Torture here, pick up 2 points. Then we move to the semi-main event where we had Bushi and Teton defeating the Flying Tiger team of Robbie Eagles and Tiger Mask. So Bushi and Teton, they also go up to 12 points by beating the former champs here in Flying Tiger, and then Flying Tiger stays at 4 points. Again, this is another match where it's designed to highlight the newest talents that they've brought in. So I love that Teton and Bushi are actually getting a solid run in this Super Junior Tag League.
Yeah, they're another team where they have just gelled together so quickly, kind of similar to TJP and Akira. Bushi and Teton, amazing chemistry, and have been one of the highlight teams to watch in this whole tournament. And here, once again, these guys were doing great work here, mixing it up with Eagles and Tiger Mask, and pulling off the win there, hitting their MX double stomp combo on Tiger Mask.
It's just hard to know that like Robbie and Yo and Sho have graduated into that like veteran New Japan Junior section where they're like they're there for the glitz and the glamour and the to hype up the people that they're working with, but they're also unfortunately the ones that end up eating a lot of the losses.
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking Flying Tiger to do a little bit better since they did win the tag titles last year. Maybe they push a little bit stronger, but
They brought in too many fresh faces. That's the problem. I mean, it's a good problem to have, but at the same time, it's just like you see some of the older ones. You're like, oh, remember when?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they definitely infused a lot of great talent in the tournament this year. So yeah, definitely tough competition for Flying Tiger. Then the main event of this show, we had Sauce Hearts, Alex Zane, and L. Lindemann defeating the Bullet Club team of Ace Austin and Chris Bay. So both of these teams with 12 points. This win got Zane and Lindemann 12 points, and Ace and Bay were already at 12 points.
I have been enjoying Alex Zane's run in New Japan. Thanks to him, I finally had a Baja Blast and I went back to a Taco Bell for the first time in like literally a decade. Him with El Lindemann, I love that they're just another group that's just having a good time. They're having a great run, but they're also having a good time doing it. And I'm not gonna lie, when I saw Austin and Bay come out at Korakuen Hall the opening night of the tournament in that matching gear, I was like, I need more of this. If you're gonna put people together in tag teams, but baseline matching gear, it doesn't have to be like super matchy, but like they look like a cohesive tag team, even though they don't normally tag together, especially when they're in Impact. So it's like, I love it. It was a great match. Yeah,
this was a super fun matchup here. Zane and Lindemann are guys that are kind of throwing things at the wall in high pace, flying all over the place. Like you mentioned, Ace Austin and Chris Bay. Once again, I know with them both being in Bullet Club now, they started doing more stuff in Impact together, but they're not a normal team. And so once again, they've gelled together really well here. They have the matching gear. They're rocking their Bullet Club, jackets, and high pace, high intensity, high action here from these guys. And loving their double team finisher there, where Ace throws Chris Bay into the Art of Finesse cutter, and then Ace falls up with the fold. But they weren't able to do it here, as Zane and Lindemann were able to get the win here after the taco driver. So that got Zane and Lindemann 12 points. So at the end of this night, we had Zane Lindemann 12 points, Ace Austin, Chris Bay with 12 points, Bushi and Teton with 12 points, and then Catch 2 with 12 points, and Leo Rush and Yo with 12 points. So all those teams were alive going into night 15. So then night 14, December 9th, was a World Tag League night. We had Bad Luck Fale defeating Yuto Nakashima. Aaron Hanare and Great Okan defeated Oscar Lube and Ryo Oiwa. We had Kevin Knight, Kushida, Master Wato, and Tomioka Hanma defeating Ace Austin, Chris Bay, Gato, and Taiji Ishimori. Then we had Hiromu, Shingo, and Teton defeating Doki, Desperado, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru. And then into the tag league matchups, we had Bishamon, Hiroki Goto, and Yoshihashi defeating Alex Coughlin and Gabriel Kidd. So Bishamon goes up to 12 points, and Coughlin and Kidd stay at 2 points.
For it being their first dojo graduation tournament like this, I'm glad that Kidd and Coughlin are teaming together, because then they can navigate it together. I honestly, since they are probably the most junior tag team in this entire batch, I didn't expect them to get 2 points, let alone, or any points. So I was glad to see that they're finding their stride together. And yeah, I'm a sucker for Bishamon, so I have the new shirt with the little lion and the bear on it. It's really cute.
Nice.
But like knowing how the rest of this folds out for them, like I'm glad to see that the defending champions are actually getting a good run this year, that they haven't fallen apart in the last year.
Yeah, Bishamon, they won tag league last year, former tag team champions, won the belts at the Dome from Dangerous Techers. So yeah, very strong tag league right now. And this was a very hard hitting matchup here with Coughlin and Kidd. Coughlin and Kidd, they got their first victory last week and had a ton of momentum here. They were all fired up, but went back to their losing ways. They keep going for this failing combination where Coughlin would powerbomb. He tries to powerbomb Kidd onto the opponent, but the opponent always moves, and he ends up powerbombing Gabriel Kidd into the match. So they need to work on their double team combos.
Yeah, the using your tag partner as a weapon. A power bomb isn't the one I would go with.
Yeah.
Like suplex him into someone, I don't know, but don't power bomb him, because then you just knock the wind out of him.
Yeah, and plus you really can't see when the guy's covering your face. Like, where are you gonna drop them?
You don't there's nowhere to peek through.
Right. So they need to work on their double team stuff. A lot of that kind of backfired here in this match, and then they fell to the Shoto, which got Bishamon their 2 points. Then after that, we had House of Torture, Evil, and Yujiro picking up their second win by defeating Tanahashi and Toru Yano. So House of Torture up to 4 points, and the Bebop tag team of Tanahashi and Yano still at 8 points. Yeah,
it is what it is. Yeah. I love Hiroshi and Toru, but I feel like House of Torture is literally they're there to play spoiler. They end up ruining all the matches or all the faves who you think are going to the finals are in. So it's one of those things I'm just like, oh, it's a House of Torture match against someone I'm really excited about. I know who's winning this one.
Yeah,
it's not satisfying anymore. It's not. It is what it is.
Yeah, because Bebop tag team here, they did have a chance here of potentially getting into the finals because they had 8 points going into this night. So had they won here, they would have been to 10. Then if they had won the next tag league night, they would have gotten up to 12, and potentially, based on how everybody else did, they could have probably snuck their way into the finals. But yeah, Evil and Yujiro ruining all the fun and stopping Tanahashi and Yano from advancing. And, this is the one team, they couldn't maneuver the cheating here. Evil and Yujiro, they put all stops. Yeah, Dick Togo and Sho all running out here. Garrote, low blows. And they were able to put away Yano and Tanahashi.
This is why we can't have nice things, Jeremy.
Yeah. Then after the semi-main event, the highly anticipated and built matchup, we had TMDK's Mad Mikey Nichols and Hysterical Shane Hayes defeating Aussie Open, Kyle Fletcher, and Mark Davis. So this win got TMDK 2 points, so they're up to 12, and Aussie Open stayed at 12. But this was an awesome matchup.
I as a longtime TM61 TMDK fan, I was very excited when they were put in this tag league alongside Aussie Open because they've run similar trajectories just in different places at different times. They were in Noah and then they went to WWE, and then meanwhile Aussie Open was in the Australian scene and then went to the UK, and then so yes, this was one of the matches. Honestly, this was the pairing I had picked for my final.
Yeah, this is what I picked for my finals too, because they had built this up on New Japan Strong. They were teasing that this was going to be the finals of the Strong Openweight Tag Team Tournament, but then TMDK got upset by Daniels and Uemura. So I thought, we're finally going to get them in the finals here. Well, TMDK did get the win here over Aussie Open. But yeah, this was a really fun matchup. I would say for people who are cherry picking and want to watch just the highlights and great matches, definitely watch TMDK in Aussie Open. Yeah, it was a really fun matchup. And so then the main event of this evening, it was Sanada and Tetsuya Naito defeating Lance Archer and Minoru Suzuki. So Naito and Sanada, they got up to 12 points with this win, and Archer and Suzuki stayed at 6 points.
This is another pairing where I was like, is this how I keep waiting to figure out how Tetsuya Naito is getting to the Tokyo Dome. And I was like, maybe it's World Tag League. Maybe this is it, because they were having, they're doing very well. They were keeping pace. They weren't at the bottom of the table. And, as much as I love hearing Lance Archer go, everybody dies, I'm glad that, Naito's knees did not die in this match.
Well, they almost did. I don't know what's going on with Naito on this tour. I feel like there's been a lot of slip-ups.
He needs to retire, man. He needs to just go watch baseball and live a good life. Let him be like the Gideon Gray of LIJ, where he just waltzes in, cuts promos, and then leaves. Yeah,
he had botched the Tornado DDT on Suzuki in this match. He also botched the Destino at the end. It was like one of the most sloppy Destinos I ever seen. He hit on Suzuki on the end there to get the win. But yeah. So yeah, Naito looking a little shaky right now. But it was good to see Archer and Suzuki also together again this whole tournament. And I don't know, like I said last week, Archer just feels at home when he's in New Japan. And now with some of the crowd restrictions lifted, he's, going in the crowd again and scaring little kids and screaming and yelling at kids again.
We all know Archer's for the kids. It's his very, very gruff way of fan service, is making children cry.
Yeah. But I thought this was Archer and Suzuki's probably their best match of the whole tournament in this main event. I thought both guys were working really hard, and yeah, good work from Sonata and Naito, minus those couple of botches from Naito there. So ending this night, we had LIJ with 12, TMDK Aussie Open with 12, and then Bishamon with 12. So those guys were alive going into the final heavyweight tag night. So then moving on to the last junior night, night 15, December 10th, we had Vegeta and Oiwa defeating Oscar and Yuto Nakashima. We had Despi, Lance Archer, and Suzuki defeating Master Wato, Hanuma, and Yoshihashi. The LIJ team of Hiromu, Shingo, and Naito defeating Bad Luck Fale, Gato, and Taiji Ishimori. And then we went into the junior tag matchups and the finals, or technically the semifinal night, leading into what would be our finals coming up here on Wednesday. So we had Kevin Knight and Kushida getting a big win here, defeating Flying Tiger, Robbie Eagles, and Tiger Mask. So both teams ending their tournament with 4 points here. Pretty big deal for Kevin Knight and Kushida to get this win here.
It's one of those things where, with Kushida in a pairing with the Young Lion, you anticipate that he's not going to get very far in the tournament. Like, his job is to be the senior statesman, show the new guy the ropes and everything like that. But Kevin Knight really held his own. And I think that, at the stages of their careers in which they're all in, Kushida, Tiger Mask, and even Robbie Eagles, despite his young age, they're seasoned enough and veteran enough in the entire industry where they're taking on that teaching role, which I think is really, really great. And so for someone like Kevin Knight, whose career is so short, this is monumental, and I think that's what they needed the most.
Yeah, and Kevin, he got the pin over Tiger Mask doing his jumping DT. I don't know what he calls it yet, but essentially it's like a jumping elevated DT. He has a ton of hang time with how high he can jump. Yeah, nailed Tiger Mask with that, and pick up the win here for him and Kushida. So, only ending with 4 points, but for Kevin Knight, that's a kind of a good start in his, especially just graduating in the middle of this tournament. So I would definitely love to continue to see Kevin Knight and Kushida team together.
Absolutely.
Then we had the House of Torture team of Dick, Togo, and Sho defeating Wild Hips, Clark Connors, and Gucci. So Dick, Togo, and Sho up to 4 points, Wild Hips ending with 6 points. And this is one of those matches you were talking about where we had a lot of creative camera work covering up the backsides of Clark Connors and Gucci.
There was not enough mosaics that could get on the screens fast enough. So New Japan World said, hey, giant rope, just put the camera right on it and just make sure you get like everything like from the nose up and everything from like the knees down.
Yeah.
It felt like I was watching like a bootleg tape that was redacted. It's probably for the best.
Yeah, those camera guys were trying to cut real fast.
They were doing the Lord's work. They were working hard on that match. But yeah. It was literally this match was just supposed to be what it was, which was not it's kind of like a throwaway match, but it was just supposed to be a fun match.
Yeah,
all four people knew neither team was going to the finals. They're just like, forget it. Let's just have a good time. Well, we'll drink beers, we'll throw down our pants, people will get mooned. It'll be fine. It's fine. It's fine. We're not getting arrested today.
Yeah. So if you like shenanigans,
the shenanigans were afoot.
Yeah, this was the match for you. So then moving on from that, we had Doki and Kanemaru picking up another win here. They defeat the Sauce Hearts of Zayn and Lindemann. So with that loss, Zayn and Lindemann stuck at 12, and they would have to hope that other teams would lose. But essentially, all the other teams had 12 points. So yeah, they were pretty much done here after losing to Doki and Kanemaru.
Yeah, I'm just glad that Doki's getting that push that he deserves.
Yeah, Doki Mania is running wild.
Doki singles run when? That's what I want to know. And also, Kanemaru singles run when? He hasn't held the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship to my knowledge. Or if he has, it hasn't been in the last 5 years.
Yeah. He was the junior ace of Noah. And I think Kanemaru is definitely very underrated. We talk about it all the time, just how crafty he is in the ring. And just how quick he is for somebody his age as well. Moves really well in the ring. Doki also, picking up this big win here, hitting that suplex de la Luna on Lindemann. So maybe he's going to get another G-Rex championship match from pinning Lindemann here. But Doki and Kanemaru spoiling Sauce Heart's tournament here, getting 8 points, ending with a good 8 points there after a rough start in the tournament.
And well, he pinned Lindemann, right? So
Yeah.
Doki locks in a G-Rex championship challenge, does he not?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like, let's run it back. I know.
Let's go.
I think he defended against Doki earlier this year. So yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, let's get a rematch. Let's put the belt on Doki and just start this 2023 big Doki run.
Let's go. I'm here for it.
Then in the semi-main event here, Lio Rush and Yo, they defeated Bushi and Teton. So with that, Lio Rush and Yo got 14 points. They locked in their place for Wednesday's finals. And this was a high-paced, high-flying matchup here between these four guys. And yeah, Lio and Yo picking up this big win here.
Yeah, again, I go back to what I said earlier, where I feel like this, as much as I would love to believe that Yo is back, I feel like their pairing together is largely put together to highlight Lio Rush.
Yeah, definitely. I know this has kind of been a long time in the works for Lio coming in, and he's dealt with some injury and some mental health stuff as well. But yeah, happy, healthy Lio. He's motivated right now, and I think that's helped Yo as well. And they've gelled. These are two fresh teams here that formed this year and gelled together really well. And this was a super fun matchup here. And we had a question from MJ Does PR. He says, how proud is Karen of her boy Yo? What has changed?
Well, I am very proud of my sons. I'm very proud of Yo. I feel like he finally has direction for the first time, literally since him and Sho broke up, that didn't involve Sho. But it also depends on, how Wednesday plays out, if it's going to be being, possibly becoming in the run for a 6th run as an IWGP junior heavyweight champion, which he doesn't necessarily need. I kind of want that singles run that they were teasing when they first split up that never happened for either of them, especially after his Super Junior run in 21 when he came back. I think pairing him with Lio, who's someone with a big personality, has drawn out his personality a bit more. And for some reason, the second half of the tour, he's been a lot more aggressive. And that's a Yo we haven't seen in a very long time. So I think after, a year and a half of being back post-op, he's finally getting his confidence back again. I just need his momentum to stay there.
Yeah, you know what? It might be one of these things where maybe he just feels more comfortable in a tag team, and maybe he's just one of those.
That's fine.
Yeah.
If that's his choice, then as long as it's his choice and not being chosen for him, then as long as he's happy. Yeah,
definitely motivated. Had a great tournament here. He and Lio get the win here. They get the 14 points. They go into the finals. MJ Does PR also says, is Sho a hoe?
Sho is not a hoe. He is a sweet, wholesome, lovely boy. He is just exceptionally misunderstood right now. I'm going to be very much Padme in believing in Anakin that there's still light left inside him. I can see it. There's good in him somewhere.
He's going through his goth phase right now.
He's going through his Joker phase. He's gone past goth, or he's just he's again just here for a good time and to break all the things. But yes. Yeah. I always joke that I'm going to have to pack a bag, but if I end up on New Japan commentary, I'll sort him out. We'll have a heart-to-heart. I'll fix it.
Then Rambone Slam Pig says, Lio Rush has enough charisma that some seems to have rubbed off on Yo. Does this speak to Yo being better suited as a tag guy, or just that anyone paired with Rush is going to come across as more exciting? I like the version of Yo from this tour more than anything recent.
I think the other difficult position that Yo's been is that because they've been circulating him and Sho around the never open weight championship scene, Sho's filled out enough where he could feasibly toe the line of a heavyweight, much like Hiromu and Desperado. Yo is very much a junior. And in those matchups, he's not pinning Evil, he's not pinning Yujiro, he's always pinning Sho when he gets the chance to pin someone. So it feels fresh because he's wrestling at someone who's the same height and build as him. He's wrestling other juniors. So it looks like he's strong again. But it's always when he's in a dynamic where, like the New Japan Cup, where, even though he's wrestling Bushi, it was a heavyweight tournament and he blew his knee out. So it's one of those things where I think he's he's kind of like I know I said this, he's been wearing white for over a year now, is that he's kind of like a blank canvas right now. He's in that like soul searching. He's still trying to figure out who he is outside of Roppongi 3K.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even though they're doing, him and Leo are doing the 3K high five, which I still find really weird at this point. I'm like, no, pick a different hand gesture. It's just one of those things. Like, I feel like whether it's Yo's choice or the company choice, they're intentionally keeping him a baby face for a reason. I just don't know what that is yet. Like, personality wise, when Sho turned on Yo, it should have been the other way around.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Yo should have turned on Sho and joined the United Empire and be with TJP, but here we are. But it's one of those things where he's getting to show personality again for the first time in seemingly a very long time, but I need it to stick once Leo's gone. But I don't want him to have to rely on Leo to draw that out of him again, or he'll never have a successful Super Junior. He'll never be able to be singles champion.
Right.
And they're all at that age where that it's supposed to start. You know, even Master Wato, who's younger than him, is in already been put in, you know, a Wrestle Kingdom match for the last couple of months, so he's not even on this tour. So it's one of those things like I need him to figure out what that missing piece is. Yeah, and not be stuck in the never. Like, I feel like they're just like circulating Yo getting ready to do Chaos versus Bullet Club again at Wrestle Kingdom for the Never Six Man. Like, that's my gut feeling right now. Yeah,
probably that, or maybe some kind of Never Gauntlet, because Kid and Coughlin, they pinned Evil and Yujiro and threw their names out there for potentially getting a Never title shot.
That works for me. Put it on Tama, Tongaloa, and Hikuleo. Make them Never Six Man for a little while. Let the brothers do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of units that are out there that are not really doing anything at Wrestle Kingdom right now that they could. Yeah, you mentioned, the GOD brothers you can throw in there.
Provided Leo Hikuleo, or sorry, not Hikuleo, Tongaloa's knee is better by then.
Yeah, the LA Dojo boys. There's an LIJ unit you can make. Like, there's a lot of guys.
Dads.
Yeah.
There's always the New Japan dads.
The Chaos, you can do, depending if Bishamon wins or not, you can do Bishamon and Ishii back together as well. Like, there's a lot of different
remember
units.
That run?
It was
Good
incredible.
Times.
Yeah. But I think that, Leo has definitely helped bring something out of Yo. And again, I don't even know exactly what they really have in common. I know commentary's been saying they're both, artists and they like music, and somehow they've bonded together and they communicate really well together. And both of them just come off of a ton of energy and charisma when they're in the ring together. So I enjoy the team together. So I hope to see them team together more. But hopefully, like you're saying, this does kind of help Yo figure himself out more and maintains that charisma on the off tours that Leo is not there.
Correct.
Then in the main event of the show, we had the Bullet Club team of Ace Austin and Chris Bay defeating Catch 2-2, Francisco Akira, and TJP. So with this win, Bay and Austin, they get to 14 points, which puts them in the finals against Leo Rush and Yo, and TJP and Akira end their tournament with 12 points. Great main event here. A big win for Ace Austin and Chris Bay. Not only do they get into the finals, but in the process, they pinned the current IWGP Junior Tag Team Champions.
It's one of those things where I'm glad to see that the work that both Chris Bay and Ace Austin have done with New Japan Strong and Impact in the last 2 years has finally paid off. I'm glad to see it go somewhere. I just don't know where it's going to go after Wednesday.
Right, yeah, we'll get into Wednesday's card, but definitely big favorites going into that night. And after this match, we did have a face-off with Ace Austin, Chris Bay, and Leo Rush and Yo. They kind of came off and both kind of set their claims for winning the Junior Tag League. So that's at the table for that. And then we move on to night 16, which was December 12th, which was the semifinal tag league night.
We all have a lot on our plates. Work, kids, relationships. And sometimes it can be hard to just catch a breath. When life is go, 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 it matters where you stay. Hilton's family of brands is team members dedicated to making you feel truly cared for, so you can mentally check out before you even check in. Take the break you deserve and book your next stay on Hilton.com. Hilton, for the stay.
At the Home Depot, we have plenty of Christmas trees to make your holidays even more magical. Hundreds of full, easy-to-assemble artificial trees that look so real, you may be convinced they actually are. And for those who love that fresh pine smell, we have a parking lot full of fresh-cut trees to call your own. We'll even help you load your tree in the car so you can bring home the holidays. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
With the holidays quickly approaching, you know you've got a lot of people to gift. But there's no need to stress because Nike can help you find everything they'll want. Whether you're shopping for family and friends, kids and coworkers, or whoever. No matter how many workout warriors, rookie parents, or yoga legging lovers you need gifts for, Nike knows exactly what they'll want and they'll help you find it. Secure the greatest gifts for everyone on your list at your local Nike store.
So show opened up, we had Bad Luck Fale defeating Kosei Fujita. Then Aussie Open defeated Oscar Lube and Roy Oiwa. And we had Doki, Despi, and Kanemaru defeating Ace Austin, Gato, and Taiji Shimori. Then Bushi, Hiromu, Shingo, and Teton defeated Wild Hips, Master Wato, and Tomioka Hanma. Then into Tag League here, we had our first Tag League match was Lance Archer and Minoru Suzuki defeating Alex Coughlin and Gabe Kidd. So Archer and Suzuki end with 8 points, and Coughlin and Kidd end with 2 points.
My favorite part of that match was Kidd picking up my friend's son and using him as a battering ram to kick Suzuki.
Oh, you knew the lady?
I knew the son. Yes, I know, and his mother. Yes.
That is hilarious. Yeah, one of those things I was like, what is he doing?
Gabe Kidd is for the kids, man.
I had to rewind. I'm like, did he just pick up a little kid
a child
and use him as a battering ram? What is happening right now? But yeah, we had again Archer out here scaring kids. Again, we also had the backfire of the power bomb. Coughlin, he actually did it twice. He couldn't see. He lightly power bombed Kid onto the mat, and then he picked him up again and tried to power bomb him onto Lance Archer. But then Archer moved, and then
I feel like he couldn't get a grip on Gabe's jeans the right way to do it.
Yeah,
because usually it's tight, so he has that extra the hoisting motion. But I don't know. It just they need a different finisher. I can't. I see that. I'm just like, this doesn't end well for you guys.
Yeah, you mentioned he had jeans. Yeah, Gabe Kidd came out here in a street fight attire with jeans and t-shirt, all hands taped up. And beginning of the match, they challenged Archer and Suzuki to meet them on the outside. So that's when the wild brawl happened on the outside with chairs, and that led to your friend's kid being used as a battering ram. So a wild start to this matchup. Very hard hitting. Gabe Kidd, this whole tournament has been very arrogant, very cocky, and has not been afraid to bow up against some of the hard hitters here. Unfortunately, he's got Suzuki in there, and Suzuki doesn't play.
Nope.
So he was chopping down Gabriel Kidd here, and in the end, everybody dies. Archer and Suzuki get the win and end with a decent score of 8 points. Then
it was a good time.
Yeah. Then after that, we had Aaron Hanare and the Great Okan defeating Hiroshi Tanahashi and Toru Yano. So Okan and Hanare end with 10 points, while Yano and Tanahashi end with 8 points. So both kind of good scores there for both teams. Hanare and Okan thought they looked really good this whole tournament. So I thought it was great for Hanare to get some chance to shine here with Cobb being off the tour.
What I liked about it was when they were originally paired together, and it was hard because you had Great Okan and Cobb as former IWGP Tag Team Champions. Mm-hmm. So it was hard for me to see Jeff off the tour because I love Jeff, but I liked it in the sense that it gave Hanare an opportunity to participate. And one of the biggest turns for Hanare was turning on Tanahashi. So being able for him to get a win, them to win over Tanahashi in this match. It as a Tanahashi fan, I'm like, oh man, that sucks. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm really excited for Hanare because it feels like he's starting to be treated on the same level as the other members of the United Empire. He's not an afterthought, which I kind of felt was kind of how it was. Like he's the odd man out for a while.
Yeah, there's been a ton of focus on Aussie Open and Catch 2-2 and obviously Will Ospreay, then Cobb and Okan. So yeah, Hanare was definitely kind of the redheaded stepchild, as like to say, and it was just kind of not being highlighted very well in the United Empire. But yeah, now with this World Tag League opportunity, him and Okan got a lot of shine in this tournament, and he got a chance to show what he's made of.
Yeah. I mean, like before they started adding all the extra members or later members of United Empire, when he was brought in as the ultimate weapon, he had that spotlight, but it just seemed like the bigger the United Empire got, the further to the background he got pushed.
Yeah, and I think he get hurt like a little bit after he debuted. I think he had like a minor neck injury, so that kind of derailed some of the momentum he had going to when he first joined the Empire.
But he looks healthy. He looks great. He seems happy, and that's like all I can ask for.
Yeah. So then the last two matches here were the key matches that would determine who was going to go into the World Tag League Finals. So going into this night, Aussie Open was already locked in here because due to Fale and Chase forfeiting their match to Chase having to leave the tour due to a death in his family, Aussie Open, they were already coming in here locked into the finals. So then they came out during these tag league matches in their fancy suits and were watching at ringside to see who was going to end up facing them in the finals. So first up, we had House of Torture, Evil and Yujiro against Sanada and Naito. And like we mentioned earlier, they want to ruin all the fun, and they played a big spoiler here, and they defeated Sanada and Naito. Lots of shenanigans here, ref bumps. We had lights going off. We had the garrote wire show running in, giving a low blow to Sanada. Evil hitting the Everything is Evil on Sanada, and then Yujiro finishing off Sanada with the pimp juice.
I just feel like Sanada is in the same position Yo is, where he's just perpetually in this death spiral against Evil, his former tag partner.
Mm-hmm.
I need Sanada to move past Evil as well. Much like I need Yo and to stay away from Show for a while, I need Sanada to stay far, far, far away from Evil. And same with Naito. You know, Naito brought him into LIJ. So I want more, Jeremy. I want more. I want them to be better.
we all do.
Again, this is where I genuinely thought maybe World Tag League was Naito's trip to the Dome. It was not meant to be. I
don't know. I mean, to me, Naito is still, one of the biggest stars, the biggest merch movers.
Absolutely.
I don't think, and no offense to the tag title spot, I don't feel like that is somewhere where you put a guy like Tetsuya Naito. You find a singles match, you find a dream match, you find a singles title match to put him in.
Oh, he's fighting Mercedes at the Dome. That's a joke, everyone. Don't you dare post a soundbite anywhere saying that I'm spreading rumors. That is a joke with a capital
Karen
J.
Peterson reports on Keepin It Strong.
No, absolutely not. How dare you? That is a joke.
Yeah.
I make the jokes now.
So yeah, with this loss, Naito and Sanada, they're both kind of, they're looking for their spot at the Tokyo Dome. They're kind of lost right now. Evil and Yujiro ruining the fun for them. So we'll have to wait and see what happens between World Tag League Finals and the Road to Tokyo Dome. What's going to happen with both Naito and Sanada, both huge stars who are used to getting big singles matches at the Dome. So it'll be interesting to see where both those guys end up after this.
Maybe they challenge Shingo for the KOPW after he defeats Taichi next week.
Well, Shingo, that's the last KOPW for the year. So Shingo will officially be like the 2022 KOPW, and then next year they have to do some kind of new match.
maybe they're in the KOP Rumble.
Yeah, they do the Rambo.
It's either King of Pro Wrestling or they're going to be like them with Takagi. The three of them are going to be the Never Six Man champions in the gauntlet. They're just going to run the gauntlet, just run the table. The three of them.
Yeah, I was making a joke in our Social Suplex chat. So our friend James Boyd, he's going to Japan for the first time. He's going to be at Wrestle Kingdom. I'm like, man, at this point, Naito's going to be sitting next to you at Wrestle Kingdom.
He's going to be on commentary being like, why am I here? Don't I have a match?
Yeah. So then the main event of this show was Bishamon going up against TMDK, Mikey Nichols, and Shane Hayes. So at this point, with LIJ losing, this was winner take all. The winner of this would face Aussie Open on Wednesday. So Hiroki Goto, Yoshihashi, they did it. They got the big win here. A lot of people were penciling in TMDK, Aussie Open, and Yoshihashi said, "Nah, not today, not on my watch. I got my new fancy shorts. We got our new music. We got our matching gear.
Matching gear. It's the matching gear, man. I'm telling you."
Yeah, they did not let TMDK run the show here. So this was another really fun, hard-hitting back and forth main event. There's a lot of great near falls here. I really thought going in, TMDK they definitely had this, and Goto and Yoshihashi were just one step ahead of these guys. Reversed out of their double team maneuver, and they were able to set up this Shoto on Mad Monkey to get the win here. So Goto and Yoshihashi, they end with 14 points, and they will meet Aussie Open on Wednesday in Sendai for the World Tag League Final. So after this match, Aussie Open came in and cut a promo on Bishamon and let them know, they're a great team. They won Tag League last year, but the only reason why they've been so great is because Aussie Open has not been around the last 3 years due to the pandemic and injuries, and so they're finally here and having their breakout moment here. But we have our big final set, Bishamon and Aussie Open.
I do, as much as I love TMDK, because I love TMDK, I love that Bishamon, as the defending, previous year's winners, are able to go to the finals. I also feel like this entire tag league this year is built around Aussie Open, so it's kind of hard for me not to see them winning. Mm-hmm. And therefore freeing up Goto and Yoshihashi to go after the Never Championship 6-man title. But yeah, I enjoyed the match. I enjoyed the match because, for me, it was my favorites versus my favorites. So I had a good time.
Yeah, and this show was a cheer crowd, so the crowd was very into this. We got Let's Go TMDK chants. We got some Bishamon chants. The crowd was really into it, into both teams here. And yeah, there's also a lot of great near falls towards the end there, and a lot of drama, and Bishamon picking up the big win. So a few questions here from Les Commission 7252. He says, Konnichiwa, Sir Jeremy and Madam Karen. Nice to have you on the show, Karen. Overall thoughts on both tag leagues, and would you like to see more of both tag leagues on the same tour in the near future? On the same tour, is it better if they go their separate ways? The only thing about the Junior Tag League was Taguchi. I found it sad that Connors was stuck in a comedic role with Taguchi instead of someone else serious. I get that Taguchi is an attraction to many fans in certain venues, but will it hurt to have him play the dad role and put him in multi-tags and not feature him in future Best of Super Juniors and Super Junior Tag Leagues?
Okay, overall thoughts on Tag League. I was able to be at the opening nights of both Tag Leagues in Korakuen Hall. So, one, it was great to finally experience Korakuen Hall with the cheering crowd for both of these series. Honestly, I like that they're concurrent because as much as I love New Japan tournaments, between them and Stardom and having their schedules overlap, I have so much tournament burnout. Mm-hmm. Three times a year as opposed to 4 times a year. But for me, it's great because, you're able to do a little bit of everything this way. You're not having people sitting at home for a month with nothing to do. You're theoretically building other things for the dome behind the scenes as well. So I actually like it. Taguchi, when you think of who Taguchi could have been paired with, minus Master Wato, since he was put into likely that junior 4-way to replace Kushida, who they didn't know what his return table was because of his illness. Mm-hmm. I don't see that Taguchi would have had the same chemistry with Kevin Knight that Kushida has, nor would Kushida have the same chemistry with Clark Connors that Taguchi has. Clark Connors, of the two of them, he's the wild rhino, but he's also, he's not a clown, but he's a mood maker. He's like a, when you throw the windows open on a sunny day, it's very breath of fresh air. That's Clark Connors. He's got great hair. And, if you're going to go with wild hips, I mean, what better compliment to the Funky Weapon than the Wild Rhino? It's. I'm hoping that we don't have another Taguchi crazy serious Taguchi run in the Super Juniors. Again, that title. Enough people who have been multiple champions don't need it again. It needs to go to someone new.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Connors and Taguchi, like you were mentioning, I feel like Kushida was supposed to be in the 4-way, which would have then left Master Wato the team with Taguchi, and then I feel like
Clark and Kevin.
Yeah, we would have had the LA Dojo boys of Clark and Kevin, which that probably would have worked out well, but I feel like Kevin definitely benefited more by teaming with Kushida than he would have had he teamed with Clark Connors.
And especially if they didn't have anything for Clark either, at least one, he gets extra wins because he's with Taguchi. But I feel like it made it feel really balanced. I know that instead of like pairing Taguchi and Kushida together and putting Clark in, or, whatever other combination there could have been, at first when you look at them, you're like, I don't know about that. But, when watching the tournament overall, if you haven't watched it, you can see how they complement each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then overall, I enjoyed both leagues. I thought both leagues were really, really good this year, and I agree with you. I think they're better off together. Doing these leagues together, running them, in the build to Wrestle Kingdom, just makes it more exciting, I think, that way, instead of having two separate tours in different parts of the year for them. And they did a great job this year in just getting a ton of fresh faces. I remember the first tag league we reviewed. They had a lot of random pairings. You had like Juice Robinson and Sami Callihan teaming together as Def Juice, and there just wasn't a lot of great pairings compared to this year. I mean, you had Aussie Open, you had TMDK, you had Bishamon, Suzuki, and Archer. Like, there were just so many great pairings on the heavyweight side. And then the junior side, you had Sauce Hearts and Catch 22 and Ace Austin and Chris Bay, Bushi and Teton. Like, there's so many great teams, new fresh faces across both leagues.
And I think it actually ended up benefiting everyone in the long run because, the major complaint that we've had the last couple of years is that it feels stale. There's no new faces, yada, yada, yada. But of course, largely due to a pandemic, not our problem. Mm-hmm. Nothing we can control. But it felt like they're like, you know what? Travel is open. We've got our visas in order. We're just going to bring everybody. And even if like what you might feel are like oddball pairings, those couplings found ways to look cohesive and work together. It really just wasn't like, even like, Tanahashi and Yano, they got back together after, last year. They weren't going to win the thing, but they just had a good time.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I feel like that's part of the, you go in with a good idea which teams are probably going to get pretty far and which ones are just there to either play spoiler or just have bangers of matches with everybody and not necessarily win it. And that's fine.
Yeah, and Tanahashi, another guy now looking for his path to the Tokyo Dome.
Maybe him and Naito will just have a singles match. Or make it a 3 with Sonata, then everybody wins. Everybody has a match.
Ethan Black asks, where would you rank this year's World Tag League in the last 5 years? And this is one of the best Super Junior Tag Leagues. For me, I would have to go back and look at them, but to me, just off the top of my head, I feel like this is one of the best World Tag Leagues since we've been reviewing them since 2017. Like, this one stands out to me a lot more, and I feel like, again, I think we had better teams than we did even going back to like 2017.
On the World Tag League side, yes. I agree completely. I really enjoyed this particular one, and I've been watching since 2017. So like this one stood out to me more, and I was more dialed in and watching it like either the day of or the next day. Super Junior Tag League, it feels fresh for the first time in 2 years, but I can't compare it to like back in 2019 when Sho and Yo won because I got to go to the Dome and see them win at the Dome that year. So like for me, it's like I kind of have a skewed perception of it. But I'm also glad to see people thriving in new environments and new tag teams.
Yeah, it's also kind of hard to compare too because previous junior tag leagues used to be single elimination tournaments. They weren't always the round robin league format. So, which I did enjoy. I do like a good single elimination tournament every once in a while too, and that format did work well.
Bring back the Super J Cup, please.
Yes, yeah, definitely, yeah.
Personal request from me, bring it back. In the United States again, thank you.
Yeah, but I did really enjoy this year's Super Junior Tag League. Again, like we mentioned, there were so many new faces, and there's so many great teams that they brought in. It's freshening things up, and like I personally like the junior night a little bit more than the heavyweight nights. I just felt like they were also faster pace and they're more fun to watch. Usually this tour is a slog and people kind of check out. But for me, actually, I really enjoyed keeping up with these both of these leagues.
I think also the return of cheering really helped.
Yeah.
But also the Super Juniors, no barricades, baby. People were everywhere.
Yeah, they were flying.
They're flying. I've missed that so much. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it, despite my wrestling end of the year burnout.
Then Enigma Bird Zero says this arguably has been the best World Tag League / Junior Super Junior Tag League and the strongest division has been in a long time. How do they continue to build it and keep the momentum going?
They have to do the work. Not necessarily the tag wrestlers. Whoever's booking them has to treat them like they matter, especially the juniors. Because that's my soapbox that I get on every time is that the juniors only matter 2 times a year: Super Junior Tag League and Best of the Super Juniors. I need the other 10 months of the year to matter for them.
Yeah, well, I think the great thing that they did with this tournament is, yes, there were a lot of outside people, but I feel like there are more people that New Japan has been working with. So, for example, Ace Austin and Chris Bay, yes, they're Impact guys, but hey, they're part of Bullet Club now, and they're a team I can see New Japan bringing in more. So you have these teams like that. They created Catch 2-2 this year. That's a new established team. Bushi and Teton. Seems like Teton is going to be around for more New Japan tours. So that's another unit that you have there. So there's been establishing all these units. Kushida and Kevin Knight, they can potentially stay together for a little while. Wild Hips could stay together for a while. So they've created all these new teams. So
Wild Hips may be staying for a while because my gut tells me it might be Wato's year. 2023 might be the year of the Wato.
There's Sauce Heart. Zane is a regular on New Japan Strong and was in Super Juniors. And Lindemann seems to be somebody that they're bringing in more often. So there's all these different teams that you can rotate in and out. You don't have to have the same, it doesn't have to be Roppongi 3K and Despy and Kanemaru all year long. We now have a whole, roster essentially.
Options. We have options for the first time in a very long time.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of different options. You can do some fresh, fun, innovative matchups throughout the year and not just 2 or 3 teams in the division the whole time. And same thing in the World Tag League side. Where you have TMDK now, you have Aussie Open, you have some of these more teams. Bishamon is now a more established tag team. God is waiting in the wings when Tangaloa comes back from his injury.
It feels good to have options again.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is that when you have a big tour like the Super Juniors or World Tag League, don't make them the undercard. Send them to New Japan Strong, send them to Rev Pro, send them other places, and let them hone their craft. Let them show everyone what they're about. Make people care about them more than twice a year.
Yeah, and I think with the New Japan schedule right now, there are so many shows they can definitely highlight, do some more big junior tag title matches, more junior matches. You look at Ishimori each year; he barely defended the junior title this year. I think next year they can need to increase some junior defenses and where the juniors are highlighted throughout the year. So now let's look at the final night of tournament action. It will be this coming Wednesday, December 14th in Sendai. We have the conclusion of this tournament and tour. So the show will open up. We'll have Kosei Fujita and Rei Oiwa taking on the Sauce Hearts, Alexander and Lindemann. So probably a win there for Sauce Hearts. Then we'll have Kevin Knight and Kushida versus TMDK. So a little open weight action here.
Oh my, that's a lot in a match. Sorry.
So that should be a fun one. Another great experience for Kevin Knight to go up against a team like TMDK. That should be a fun open weight matchup there. Then Flying Tiger will team up with Alex Coughlin and Gabriel Kidd to take on the United Empire's Aaron Hanare, Francisco Akira, Great Okan, and TJP. Then we'll have Suzuki Goons, Doki, Lance Archer, Minoru Suzuki, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru taking on the House of Tortures, Dick Togo, Evil Show, and Yujiro. And we did have Suzuki kind of teasing that something is coming on this night for Suzuki Goons, saying, he's been looking, kind of sounds like maybe there's a new member coming. He's, saying, he's looking for the future of Suzuki Goon. So, Karen, you have any thoughts on what Suzuki's talking about? Who are you?
Suzuki Goon, please. or Shota Umino or Ren Narita. One of them, all of them, I don't care. Just get Show away from House of Torture.
Yeah, it could be interesting. Yeah, Shota's like jump ship.
I mean, Taichi's not on the card, right?
No, he's not. I guess he's in training for the KOPW against
his lumberjack last man standing match. Let's go.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm wondering, if Suzuki, if they're debuting a new member here, or what's exactly happening that Suzuki's been talking about. So we'll see what happens there. Then after that, we'll have Wild Hips team up with the Bebop tag team to take on the LIJ team of Bushi, Sanada, Naito, and Teton. Then we'll have Okada, Master Wato, and Tama Tonga taking on Gato, Jay White, and Taiji Ishimori. So obviously building up Okada and Jay at the Dome, and then Wato and Ishimori are two of the four guys in that four-way junior title match at the Dome.
And Gato's eating the pin.
Yeah, he's eating a big Rainmaker. Or Tama could get the win too.
Or he's getting a gun stun.
Yeah.
In a supreme flow.
Yeah. So then the last three matches of this show are the real big matches here. So first, we will have the never open weight title match as Machine Gun Carl Anderson will finally defend against the young gun, Hikuleo. Karen, what are your thoughts on this one?
It should have happened at Battle Autumn, but here we are. I guess we kind of should talk about the rumors that are circulating around it, because I wanted to be excited about this until this report came out.
Yeah, so PW Insider is reporting that Carl Anderson will be working Wrestle Kingdom on January 4th, and that lines up with other reports that they said that New Japan and WWE had worked out 2 dates for Anderson to finish up business with New Japan. So one of those dates to finish up was January 4th. Before this report, it seemed like this was going to be the last date for Anderson, that Hikuleo was going to save the belt, get the belt back, and send Anderson packing off to WWE. But with this, impending news now, it's like, well, is he going to lose to just have another match at the Dome, or is he going to retain and then maybe he faces Tama Tonga at the Dome?
So here's the thing. Part of me wants Hikuleo to win the Never, because he needs something to do.
Mm-hmm.
Carl and Tama's grudge and their history doesn't need the belt. But I said the same thing about Ospreay and Omega, and here we are. I could see Anderson retaining over Hikuleo, and then Tama either getting involved in this match or being the one to come out and challenge him for the Dome. I could see Tanahashi challenging Anderson at the Dome. I could see Naito challenging Anderson for the Dome. But neither Tanahashi nor Tetsuya Naito need the never openweight championship.
Yeah, that would seem like a big...
Tama's reign with it was just far too short.
Yeah, I felt like there was so much more to do with Tama, because he had, been fighting Bullet Club all year and been getting beat down by those guys the whole year, and he finally got some comeuppance on them and get that never title belt from Evil. It was a big moment. It got cut short by the post-match attack, and then immediately losing the title to Carl Anderson. So yeah, I definitely feel like there was more to do with Tama as never champion, his first singles title run in New Japan, and especially if Tangaloa is still going to be out for a while, I think that put the belt back on Tama Tonga if Carl Anderson is winning here, which with this news I think he is. I mean, like you, I was hoping Hikuleo would get a win. Hikuleo has improved so much this year, and he's gotten over with the Japanese audience, and I feel like with the whole youth movement that's going on right now, you had Ren Narita coming in, he's in the TV tournament finals. You had Umino coming in and have a big impact in a match against Ospreay.
That match was so good.
Yeah, and I figured this was going to be all right. Hikuleo's time, the next one, this youth movement, all of them are kind of in that same dojo class. It's like, all right, Hikuleo's the next guy to get something really big here. But yeah, it definitely seems like we'll probably get some shenanigans, because Gallo, I think, is going to be with Anderson, so there'll probably be interference, and Anderson will probably retain. Like you mentioned, Tama Tonga will probably then come out and challenge, and then he can get his win back, get a big moment at the Tokyo Dome, and then go into next year, maybe have a longer run with the title.
Yeah, the other thing is that if it says here they worked out 2 dates, that would mean, if I'm doing my math right, I was an English major, so forgive me. Wednesday would be 1.
Yeah.
The Dome would be 2, correct?
Yeah.
Not the Dome plus New Year's Dash or Yokohama in a couple of weeks. It would be Wednesday and then January 4th. Since this all was sorted out before WWE came back to Carl's door once Uncle Paul got back in charge.
Right. So that seems like what it's going to be. So to me, I think if you're going to bring him back for the Dome, you're not going to bring him back, I think, just for a grudge match, or you're not going to throw him in like a never 6-man title match. I think you're going to do.
He needs to put somebody over and put the belt. Honestly, he needs to put the belt back on Tama. Tama needs to close this chapter of his Bullet Club revenge tour and move on.
Yeah. And a couple questions on this match. So, okay, 890 says, with the Sasha rumor going around, do you think it's now more likely for Hikuleo to beat Anderson at the Tag League Finals?
Only if Sasha's fighting Hikuleo for the belt at the Dome.
Yeah, I don't see how both of those kind of go hand in hand, but
they're not mutually inclusive.
I think like we're saying with the Anderson news, I feel like Anderson's going to retain. And that at Dragon Master Adam on Twitter says, if Carl Anderson retains on Wednesday, then who do you think he defends against at Wrestle Kingdom, Naito or against Tama, since they probably want him on the Wrestle Kingdom card after how over he got this year? And so we kind of already talked about that. We think Tama's probably going to be the main one that's going to challenge.
Unless they throw us a swerve and put Tanahashi in the match, but I genuinely think the money is probably on Tama.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't want to see another Tanahashi Anderson match. I really didn't enjoy
Correct.
The last one. And I feel like, Tanahashi just needs so much more at the Tokyo Dome. I know Tanahashi is winding down, but on a big stage with a great opponent, Tanahashi can still go.
I really wish they'd let Shinsuke fight someone at the Dome. I know they're not going to. Because the whole Muta thing is because he's retiring and it's a really big deal. But man, just once I'd love to see Shinsuke in the Dome again.
yeah, that would be great to have. Yeah, Nakamura, Nakamura versus Naito. They have a history against each other. That would be epic. But yeah, and I'm sure we'll get some angles on the show that will answer what Naito's doing, what Tanahashi's doing. I have a real feeling that Jon Moxley is going to be at the Dome, so I could see Moxley challenging either Naito or Tanahashi at the Dome. Potentially, you can get another AEW guy to face another one of them too.
Moxley's still currently the champion, right?
No, MJF is the champion.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, as you can tell, I'm not keeping up with AEW these days. So yeah, then Moxley could. We've done Moxley Naito, haven't we? They've done that before, haven't they?
No, I don't think they have. I think they were in different blocks when Mox was the G1, and then they've never had a singles match. So Mox, I'm trying to remember who.
Moxley's fought Tanahashi. Sorry, my hair is just not. My bangs are not cooperating right now. I'm trying to think who Moxley would fight.
Yeah, Mox has faced Tanahashi. He faced him at Forbidden Door. For the AEW title. That was their first match, and then he has not faced
for the interim AEW.
Oh yeah, the interim. Yeah, excuse me. But he has not faced Naito yet because they were in different blocks.
G1. I wouldn't be mad at Naito versus Moxley. I just don't want Naito's knees to be like evaporate into the ether of the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah. I'm trying to pull up the G1 that Mox was in right now to see all who he faced. Let me pull that up.
Moxley didn't have to drop out of a G1, correct? He finished the G1 before he got sick that one time.
Yeah, so he was only in one G1. It was the 2019 G1. Same year that like Kenta and Shingo and Ospreay.
Oh, good times.
That G1
that was a G1. That was a good G1.
Yeah, and he had the opening night in Dallas, which was a lot of fun. So let's see.
We got to meet up there.
Yeah, we did hang out there. Josh and I there, part of the press conference and stuff like that. All right, let's see here. Here we go. So let's see. So Moxley was in the B block. Oh, he did face Naito. I totally forgot about that. So he was in the block with Jay, Goto, Naito, Cobb, Juice, Shingo, Taichi, Ishii, and Yano. So he has faced Naito.
Who had the win in that match between him and Naito?
I don't remember. I don't even remember that match.
You and me both, sir.
Let's see if I can go to the cage match here. Let's see. Moxley versus...
Let's pull up ye old cage match.
Moxley versus Naito cage match. Let's see. So this was July 28th. This was night 10 of the G1.
No wonder it was the middle of the G1.
Yeah,
that's why.
It was the main event of the show. Moxley won.
Ah, I see.
So I guess if you want Naito to get that win back, you could do run it back, do Naito and Mox at the
also,
Dome.
Jericho's got nothing to do right now. He lost to to Claudio.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you could bring Jericho in for a big match. You could Jericho's already faced Naito. They had that whole series for the IC title.
Oh, that was so good.
And he's already faced Tanahashi too. But if you want Tanahashi to get the win back, because they only had one match, maybe Tanahashi can get the win back against Jericho. So yeah, a lot of different options there.
Naito could get his win back over Moxley and then retire. The pair of them can retire with their busted knees and like crawl off into the sunset together.
It's gonna be My Dad is a Heel Wrestler for both Naito and Tanahashi. Those guys.
The movie's so good though.
Yeah, that was a great movie. But those guys are not. They're gonna keep going literally until they cannot not walk.
Till the wheels literally fall off the wagon, as it were.
They'll come down to the ring with Walker if they have to.
Don't make me sad. I have the sads now.
But I'm sure there's a lot of great options that you can do for Naito and Tanahashi. They don't mean worst case scenario they can just face each other. So a lot of options there. So the last two matches on the show, the semi-main event will be the Super Junior Tag League final. The winner of this match will be the winner of that Super Junior Tag League and will go on to face Catch 2-2 at the Tokyo Dome. So it'll be Lio Rush and Yo versus Ace Austin and Chris Bay. Karen, who you got?
I think it's going to be Lio Rush and Yo.
I agree.
I feel like they're making a very big deal out of Lio Rush and his first excursion to Japan.
Yeah, and Lio is a big star in the Western audience. He's been in WWE, he's been in AEW. Obviously, I don't think right now he has momentum of a Sasha who's going to bring in a ton of subscriptions, but he's still a well-known name where I think he can capture some eyes and his music audience into the Tokyo Dome. So yeah, I think Lio and Yo will get the win here, but I don't think they're going to get a straight-up tag against Catch 2-2. I think other teams are going to be involved. Ace Austin and Chris Bay, they did pin Catch 2-2, so I think they'll have a claim. Doki and Kanemaru pin Catch 2-2.
Oh, are we getting a 4-way for the juniors as well?
I think we will. I mean, that's their typical formula where night.
That's a lot. That's a lot. A lot.
Well, you got to fit people in. There's only one main night at the Tokyo Dome.
So Junior Tag Gauntlet, got it.
They could do a gauntlet.
Lucha Rules, 8-man lumberjack.
Yeah, Bushi and Teton also pinned Catch 2-2. So there's a lot of teams who, even though they didn't win the league, have a claim.
Put it in the cage. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. 5-way tag, sure. Ladder match, why not?
Actually, that would be pretty fun, yeah.
Again, no crystal ball here. It's a joke. I make the jokes.
Karen Peterson reports that there will be a ladder match.
I am reporting nothing. I disavow all knowledge of New Japan. I say no such thing.
But yeah, so there's definitely going to be some kind of multi-team, at least I think, unless they do maybe one of those teams challenges Catch 2-2 or Tokyo Dome, and then you do the straight-up tag with just Lio and Yo and Catch 2-2, but we'll see how that all plays out.
And there's also New Year's Dash, so, I mean, whoever didn't win could be like, we got next, or we call dibs.
Right, and there's also Yokohama Arena as well that somebody could get a shout out as well. Then the big main event here, and actually I think this is the first time in a while that the World Tag League actually main events the World Tag League final show. So we're going to have Aussie Open, Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis facing off against Bishamon, Hiroki Goto, and Yoshihashi. So I think the interesting thing here is Aussie Open has already defeated Bishamon in this league. So they're coming in with already a win against Bishamon. So are Aussie Open going to win again and get that dominant win? Or is Bishamon going to get their win back and go to the Tokyo Dome?
Personally, I think Bishamon is getting the win and going to the Tokyo Dome because they need to get a win over FTR to get the belts back into New Japan. They also it kind of feeds into the question that's listed that from Rambo and Slam Pig. It's the I don't want to see Chaos go back into the never 6-man, spiral of death with House of Torture, but I also feel like the card right now is shaping up to be very foreign wrestler heavy, and there needs to be a bit of balance to it. And whether it's Yo and Leo going into the finals, or while they're not as popular abroad like Bishamon is, they're wildly popular in Japan. I mean, I could see Aussie Open winning it, but I could also see Aussie Open in a very large LI versus LIJ 10-man tag at Wrestle Kingdom as well. So yeah, I'm leaning towards Bishamon, but that's just I feel like that's where they're going with it from a booking standpoint, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, so Rambo said, Aussie Open versus FTR is a bigger match at the Dome, likely better as an in-ring matchup. Bishamon versus FTR has a domestic Japanese face team for the home fans to root for. Which way do you think NJPW will go? What would you do if you had the book? And yeah, it's a very difficult situation because obviously the FTR Aussie Open match from Royal Quest 2 got a ton of buzz.
Had they not just done it at Royal Quest, I would say hands down Aussie Open. But we just had that match a few months ago.
Right, but if you want Aussie Open to get the win back and to be the ones to bring the belts back, I could see that option because it was such a great match, and doing a rematch on the biggest stage makes sense to me. But like Rambo said, like you said, like Bishamon is that face domestic Japanese tag team. Like you mentioned, the Dome is very foreigner heavy right now, and you need to feature the Japanese talent. And Bishamon, they won the tag league last year. They won the titles in the Dome last year. They are like the number one domestic Japanese tag team right now. So it would make a ton of sense, I think, from a New Japan booking standpoint, like our number one tag team, Bishamon, against AEW's number one team, FTR. Like, we're gonna do this big, who's the best team kind of matchup. Which the more I think about it, I'm like, I think that's the way I agree with you. I think they're gonna go that way. Because why would you have Aussie Open beat Bishamon earlier in the tournament if they're going to beat them again in the finals? I feel like it'd be flipped. Like, if Aussie Open was going to win, I feel like they would have lost to Bishamon earlier in the league, and then they would have got the win back here.
I mean, and even, I hate to say it, even if Bishamon ends up being the transitional champion, there's New Year's Dash the next day. Mm-hmm. They could take the belts off of FTR and then turn around and lose them to Aussie Open the following day. I wouldn't be mad at it. Yeah. And then Aussie Open goes on like a crazy 6-month run with the belts. And
again, too, there's also a potential for a multi-man matchup here. Aussie Open can say, hey, we beat you guys earlier in the league. Like, we should be in the title match as well. And you could do a 3-way.
TMDK are like, guys.
Yeah, we beat Aussie Open. So, yeah, you could do a 4-way TMDK, Aussie Open, Bishamon, FTR.
That's how you get everybody on the card.
Yeah.
Multi-man title matches, 20-minute time limit, 15-minute time limit. None of this 30-minute, no. 60-minute, no. Again, Osprey Omega, 30-minute time limit, please.
But there's going to be enough singles matches on the card where you can, I think, throw in a lot of multi-man matchups, and it won't feel like overkill, especially because these multi-mans will have stakes. It won't be like your random, 8-man faction versus faction matchup. You'll have a junior tag title match. You'll have a heavyweight tag team title match. So, I think match quality, I think a straight up 2 versus 2 would be better. But if you want to get more people on the card and feature more people, I definitely can see them going a 3-way or 4-way for this.
And make it it will be chaotic enough that people would be protected. That's the biggest thing.
Right. And so FTR
FTR could lose the belts without being pinned.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Yep. So maybe TK is like, we're sending those guys, but I don't want them getting pinned. So
hey man, they held the belts hostage for 6 months, and Forbidden Door was halfway a blood and guts booster show. So you know what? It's fine. They can eat the loss. FTR will be fine.
Yeah, I kind of want Bishamon to win because I think it'd be hilarious for Yoshihashi to pin Dax Hardwood. I think that would just make my day.
I need my pandemic champion to pull out another big W right now.
Yes. So this finals, Wednesday, December 14th, should be a fun show with these great league finals, a never title match. I'm sure we're going to get a ton of video packages and angles letting us know what is coming for the remainder of the card for Wrestle Kingdom. So should be a fun show to watch. So let's transition over to New Japan of America. This past Saturday, we had the second night of the Detonation Tour. We had Kenny King defeating Gregory Sharp, the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels defeating the DKC, and then in the main event, we had Hikuleo, Tama Tonga, Alan Angels, and David Finlay teaming up to face off against El Phantasmo, Switchblade Jay White, and the West Coast Wrecking Crew. Karen, did you get a chance to check out Strong?
I did not. I love Strong. I'm just, again, like, I'm trying to do a little bit more on the work-life balance and also more of the wrestling life balance. And alas, this particular card, I decided to pass on.
Yeah, it's all good. It was a fun episode of Strong. So they're pushing. It seems like they're pushing Kenny King right now. This was his second appearance, second win on Strong. So it looks like we'll be seeing more of him in New Japan. Christopher Daniels is waging war against the LA Dojo. So he already took out Uemura. He beat Rocky Romero. So now here he beat the DKC, and then post-match he did the same thing he did to Yuya, dropped DKC with a big pile driver. So yeah, Daniels is waging war. We need a hero to step up from the LA Dojo. Maybe.
I guess I'm going to LA, huh? I'm going to go fight Christopher Daniels. I'm going to be the savior of the LA Dojo.
Yes, it's going to be Karen and Daniels.
And then I'm challenging Carl Anderson at the Tokyo Dome for the Never Overweight Championship. Again, these are jokes, folks. Don't take them seriously.
The main event, we saw this continuation of the Tama Tonga Hikuleo rivalry against Jay White. So Tama, he got the win pinning Royce Isaacs, and so also there was a lot of interaction with Hikuleo and Tama with ELP and Jay White. So they're kind of keeping that rivalry kind of lingering on the back burner with GOD and Bullet Club, and so we'll see what happens with Hikuleo and Tama Tonga going forward. But a fun main event here and a good win for Tama Tonga. Then we got some few news items here. Fred Rosser tweeted last week that according to reports, Mr. No Days Off is set to return to WWE in 2023. So yeah, it seems like our current Strong Openweight champion at some point next year will be going, according to him, going back to WWE, unless he was being sarcastic. I'm not sure.
I think he's being a bit of a smart ass. Like, is he, the fact that he wrote Mr. No Days Off, like, it's, come on now. I think he's just like leaning into the rumor mongering that's going on by, people with podcasts like us.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would hate to see him go. I think he's improved so much being a part of New Japan, having a good run right now with the Strong Openweight Championship. But also, there's probably more money at WWE. So if that works out, good for him.
Yes.
And I know his dad always gives him a hard time. Like, why aren't you in, the bigger shows and the big arenas?
Oh, no, really?
Yeah, he said in an interview that, like, his dad was always asking. He's like, why are you in this, like, little, like, show? Like, why aren't you, like, in the bigger arena?
Because it's a steady paycheck, man. Money gets spent the same way. Like, yeah. At least in Strong, he's felt like a star. Like, for the longest time before his WWE run ended, I barely knew who he was. Like, I ran into him at the grocery store by accident one time, and I was like, I had no idea who he was.
Yeah, I know Triple H is bringing back a ton of people right now, and they're not all really getting...
why I'm worried about Sasha.
Yeah.
One of his favorite children.
Yeah, but I don't know. She seems far gone right now. We'll see. I don't know. She's been a big fan of Joshi and Puroresu, so maybe she just wants to, work the Dome, work a couple of New Japan, and then maybe she'll go back afterwards.
I'll feel better once I see something in writing from New Japan saying yes, or watching the Tokyo Dome and seeing her stroll out. I need something tangible. There's nothing tangible right now that's making me feel confident.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, maybe at the Tag League Finals, maybe they'll air a Mercedes vignette.
They may not be able to because she's still technically under contract. So it's part of the non-compete.
Well, they can tease it, just,
Like a silhouette?
Yeah, just do
vacant is coming.
Yes, or, flash a $sign or something. just be like, yeah, Snoop Dogg's cousin is coming. Which one? You'll have to find out on the Tokyo Dome.
Figure out which one wrestles. That'll narrow it down.
Another news, Kota Ibushi and Tetsuya Naito were voted into the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Fame for this year's class. So a big congrats there for Ibushi and Naito getting voted in there from the Japan region. Both nights of NJPW Tamahashi will be streaming on demand on December 15th at noon Japan time, exclusively on New Japan World. So that'll be fun to check out. Our good friend Rocky Romero and Mystico defeated Volador Jr. and Lince Dorado to win the CMLL Copa Bicentenario finals tournament. So
Felicidades. Congratulations, guys.
Hopefully that'll come up on New Japan World. I'm sure that'll be a fun match to check out. And then last thing here, the Dragon, Shingo Takagi, returned to Dragon Gate, and he'll be teaming up with BB Hulk at the Final Gate show on Christmas Day, December 25th.
Good for him. I'm excited to see him.
So yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. So a few last questions here, and we'll wrap the show up. So Barry Walsh asks, do you think Jonah goes back to WWE? Could he still thrive if he goes back?
If they can bring back Braun Strowman, yes, Jonah will be fine.
Yeah, Jonah or his WWE, Bronson Reed. Seems like Triple H was a big fan of him at NXT, gave him that good push to the North American title. So yeah, I think he's a guy that would get at least some kind of run on the main roster with Triple H running things. But I mean, I hope that he stays in New Japan. I felt like he really kind of carved out a niche for himself in New Japan, kind of being that big, huge monster foreigner. And he got over with the Japanese audience. They were breaking the law, oohing and on when they weren't supposed to. And TMDK has been an interesting faction, having him alongside Nichols and Shane Hayes and Bad Dude Tito. There's so much upside, I think, for Jonah to stay in New Japan.
Absolutely. I felt like he was appreciated a lot more in New Japan than he ever was, even in NXT, even as a champion in NXT. And it's one of those things, like, as a TMDK fan, knowing that like some of the original three are back together, that's really special.
Yeah. I could see if Jonah stays around, maybe winning the Rambo come Wrestle Kingdom and then getting a big push following that.
Well, once Okada gets the belt off of Jay, then, Jonah will be the first one to jump the queue.
Yeah. Getting their shot there at Okada. Barry also asked, with Kojima, Okan, Tanahashi, and now Kenta having matches in Noah and Nagata and Tiger Mask in All Japan, I have to wonder why. I get that business all around doing better means all promotions benefit, but New Japan doesn't seems to be getting anything in return for helping out. Is there some other reason for helping them out so much?
Well, personally, I think it's also because of the implications of why New Japan is helping out. This is the 50th anniversary of New Japan, but it's also the 50th anniversary of All Japan. So wrestlers that have history in All Japan, like Tiger Mask and Yuji Nagata, are able to go back and give back. Even the ring announcer, Makoto Abe, he did announcing at a special show a few weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. And so it's one of those things where, even with they had the Noah crossover show earlier this year because, again, 50th anniversary of New Japan, but also many wrestlers in New Japan have either gone to Noah or come from Noah. So it's not so black and white, especially with like the example that they're using right now with Kenta, is that Kenta is teaming with Marufuji. The last time the two of them had a match, it was back in, I think it was for Marufuji's 20th anniversary. And that was when he was contracted with WWE, and they were able to negotiate him to go to Japan for this because of their longtime parallel career path. Mm-hmm. So it's not just like one-offs or, like excursions that don't mean anything. For Kojima, it was going over there and making history as one of like the 4 people in the entire history of Japanese wrestling to become a Triple Crown champion across all 3 promotions. So it has stakes. With Okan, it's kind of like Muda's retiring. Who's the big, weird, creepy, metaphysical dude that's going to take over? Okan. Mm-hmm. All of these choices are intentional. So there is a benefit. New Japan is being able to, yes, it may look like philanthropy. Like, what do they get out of it? They got to have Tanahashi have a match against Keiji Muto before he retires. They got to have, Togi Makabe and Tomoaki Hama, who also have history with Muta, have a match with them before he retires. It's one of those things where sometimes it isn't just business. Sometimes it's about making the history side of it. And I think that's what all of this is about. With Tiger Mask, maybe New Japan didn't have anything for Tiger Mask. So why not let him go do something? Same thing with Kojima. He went and won the championship and just kind of stayed there. Now he's a tag champion. If New Japan has nothing for them, why not?
Yeah, I think for a lot of the older guys like Tiger Mask and Nagata and Kojima, I think we're going to see them probably do more stuff with All Japan and Noah, just based on the fact of, they're trying to push younger guys. You have Umino coming in, and Ren Narita, and Coughlin, and Kid, and Connors, all these young guys coming in. They need spots. And you can't always have Tiger Mask and Nagata and Kojima on a show. As much as I love all those guys, they're not always going to be factored into what's going on in New Japan going forward. So, they still love wrestling. Why not let them, have fun, go pop some tours over in Noah and All Japan and have some fun there. I don't think it hurts New Japan at all.
No, not at all.
It keeps those guys' name out there. And a guy like Kojima, he can come back in and be like, hey, I was just, GSA champion. He could have a fun run in a New Japan Cup. He could potentially get back into a G1, do his last G1 based off of that reputation from being a GSC champion, tag champion. So, it does help out in that way, but I don't think it's a detriment at all.
And it's also one of those things, there are some wrestlers that have contracts coming up at the end of this year. For example, Jake Lee from All Japan, and he announced that he's got 2 matches left and then he's done. 2023, new year, new Jake. He's expressed interest in going to New Japan, after the Korakuen 60th anniversary earlier this year, where, people were teasing that he could possibly be in the G1. Who's to say that, one of arguably All Japan's most popular wrestlers right now could be in a New Japan ring by January of next year? Yeah. Or, in a couple of weeks when January shows up.
Yeah.
So there is reasoning. Some of it's, business, but other parts of it are, all these wrestlers are friends with each other. Let them work with their friends if they got nothing for them.
Yeah. Then we had a question here from White in the Discord. It says, with all the losses that NJPW guys have taken in AEW, Suzuki, Ishii, United Empire, Tanahashi, Shibata, etc., isn't that more than enough for AEW to give a big loss back and be okay with Omega losing to Ospreay in the Dome?
I assure all the listeners that is not my burner account. I did not send that question. Honestly, the story is Omega was the first champion. Ospreay is the current champion. Omega left. Ospreay stayed. Again, this is why I say I want a 30-minute time limit, because I could see them. I think Omega might eat the loss to cement Ospreay as the guy, but part of me also thinks that it's going to be a time limit draw and we're going to have to visit it again in the future, which is why I don't want a 60-minute match, because I will go make breakfast, I will eat breakfast and wash my dishes, and that match will still be going on. So, yeah.
I love Omega and I love Ospreay, so for me, I'm not going to complain if those guys wrestle for an hour, because I'm sure it would be incredible. Then
Okada needs to beat Jay in 5 minutes flat with 2 rainmakers and call it a night, because we will be tired.
I'd be fine with that. But yeah, I don't feel like Ospreay has to win. Because I feel like there's potential here to do a 3-match series between these guys, between New Japan.
But Omega doesn't need the belt. Then the match doesn't need the belt. Then that's the thing. Omega doesn't need the belt. He was the first U.S. champion. He doesn't need it again.
Right. He doesn't need it. However, I think with him being U.S. champion again, that brings eyeballs back to New Japan. Kenny's back. Kenny's the U.S. champion.
But is Kenny staying? That's the thing. Especially if Ibushi is rumored to be going to CyberFight. Kenny can't stay.
Well, also, I don't think he's going to be, working in the road to new beginning or anything, but I think he would.
No Fantastica Mania? Come on.
No. But, I mean, like Moxley defended the U.S. title on AEW programming. New Japan guys came on Dynamite. Moxley worked New Japan Strong in New Japan America pay-per-view, so you could have Kenny work. Kenny could work strong. Kenny,
that would be nice. However, Kenny Omega is one of TK's shiny top card guys.
So was Moxley.
Yeah, arguably yes, but now that Kenny's back and people have been waiting for him to come back and be healthy again, I don't see him being allowed to do anything lengthy like a run in New Japan Strong. Even if it is once a month for the 4 or 5 months.
Yeah. I guess we'll see. I think either way, it'll end up being fine. I don't think Ospreay has to win. I think you can extend the series. I think it could be a compelling story if Omega wins first and then Ospreay chases him and gets a win back. But if Ospreay wins first, I think that's fine too. And like you said, that would really cement Ospreay as a top star, as it will really elevate the U.S. title, which Ospreay's been doing. Then it's holding the title.
Ospreay retains. Sonata challenges. Sonata gets the belt back finally a year later after getting his eye shattered. And then Omega's like, no, I'm not good with this. Ospreay, we have unfinished business. Let's go do something at Dominion. It's fine. I don't want them to have this whole flip-flop series of 3 30-minute draws until somebody finally just gives up and wins the belt. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And for me, I feel like Ospreay at this point should be in the world heavyweight title picture. So at some point, I think he needs to get out of this U.S. title scene somehow. I mean, he has done.
But putting the belt on Kenny Omega, that's not a solution because he'll start chasing Omega for the belt.
Right.
And then literally every defense that isn't Ospreay isn't going to matter in the eyes of the fans. That's the other problem.
Yeah. I don't know. Unless Kenny dropped to somebody else, and then Ospreay's mad that Kenny lost, and you still do Ospreay and Omega, and then Ospreay can win. That catapults Ospreay to maybe win the G1 or get a world title shot.
Yeah, because Ospreay's already won the New Japan Cup, so probably the next move would Yeah,
because he was so close to winning G1 this year. I think next year is his year to win
probably,
G1. Yeah. Next question, MJSPR says, will Kenny have more than one match in NJPW next year?
Maybe more than one match, but I feel like it'll be a big show match. But the problem is that before Kenny left, he had all of the big matches. I don't know who we would put against him unless he's going to do things of elevating other people.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's room to do another Jay White match. I think they only had one match for the U.S. title. A New Beginning, I think that was 2018.
I mean, if they're going to do David Finlay, if Yano's going to be able to have that match he was supposed to have because he pinned Kenny in the G1 or something really weird like that a few years back.
Yeah.
It's just difficult. Again, Kenny's another one where I don't think we're going to see him in the G1, but if Mercedes potentially big match here and there, 2 or 3 matches, sure. But I feel like part of his impetus now as a senior statesman in the wrestling industry and in New Japan, he would need to make it about elevating other talent. I know people want Omega, Okada 18 or whatever we're on right now, but I need a fresh matchup for him. Ospreay feels fresh. A Jay rematch would feel fresh.
Yeah.
David Finlay would feel fresh. I need it to not be the same 5 people that are usually at the top of the card.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to do another Okada match at some point. I mean, it's been a while since you've run that. I think in the U.S. is where you need to run that match the first time. Omega
Wrestle Dynasty.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be the Wrestle Dynasty matchup. But yeah, I think you can run that. I think putting him, like you mentioned, some of the young guys. If you really want to elevate Shota Umino, do Omega versus Umino, and I feel like Omega would want to work with a young guy like Shota Umino. And I think there's probably some story elements you can draw up with Umino being a young lion when Kenny was there. I mean, you could do Kenny and Ren Narita. You can do Kenny, Kenny against some of these LA Dojo guys. I know he's probably not going to wrestle a bunch of those guys, but some of those hand-picked young guys that you want to elevate to that next level, you can put him in there with. especially if Kenny does win the U.S. title and it's going to defend a little bit, you can have him defend against some of those younger guys trying to get the belt back while, you know, you're waiting for the Ospreay rematch.
Yeah.
Hawaiian Punch BB says, with Jake Lee leaving All Japan Pro Wrestling at the end of the year, do you see him finally being able to compete in the G1? Do you think he'll be able to pass that Sonata ceiling of a mid-carder that people think can be a main eventer, but really shouldn't be one?
I would like to see Jake Lee in New Japan far before the G1. I mean, New Japan Cup would be good. New Beginning would be good. New Year's Dash would be fine. I just want to see him in a New Japan ring. Him and Sonata are around the same age. So the other part is, do you catapult him past Sonata as soon as he shows up? Or do you make him, do what you do with most guys that show up that are brand new from other promotions that aren't a hot foreign talent from a very popular, larger company outside of Japan, and make them work for it? I think because I believe Jake's like 33 or 34, much like Sonata is, so he has time. I just don't see him like showing up, winning the New Japan Cup, and like taking a title off of anybody within the first 6 months.
Yeah,
it'll be like everything else. It'll be a slow burn for him.
Yeah, and I think too, with the pipeline New Japan has right now, with all these LA Dojo guys, with the Fale Dojo, with the New Japan Strong roster, they have so much of their own guys that they're already invested in and are trying to elevate. We talked about Umino and Rita and all these guys. They're trying to elevate all those guys right now. Like, I don't know how Jake Lee fits into that plan of, elevating the youth. Also, he's a super talented guy.
He's joining Suzuki-gun.
He could, yeah, maybe that's Suzuki's big addition. So that could happen. Or New Year's Dash, he can show up and kickstart an angle there. Like, I think he'll definitely be. Obviously, you always need fresh talent so you can get some fresh matchups. So I think he's going to be a welcome addition. I just don't know how hard they're going to push him.
I guess it also depends on how the fans react to him. That's the other thing. Right,
because we've seen guys like Kenta, when he came in, fans calling him Noah Trash. Or fans...
Noah fans are still hating on him for betraying them and going to New Japan, but...
Right. And
Noah didn't have the New Japan money, let's be honest.
And some fans are salty, like when Ishimori jumped over to New Japan. And fans are salty when Shingo jumped from Dragon Gate to New Japan. Because, in Japan, you stick with your company till the day you die. And these guys, they jump ship. They got that Bushi Road money, got those bigger deals, bigger stages. So yeah, the fans, they might see him as quote unquote All Japan trash. They might not want to get behind him, and maybe you turn that into heat. You put him with a heel stable and use that to generate heat.
Just not Bullet Club. just don't put him in Bullet Club, please.
So yeah, so I definitely could see him in the G1 because it was already rumored. He was rumored for G1 this year, but it didn't happen for whatever reason. So I think he could be in G1 next year. But yeah, I think we'll see him earlier than that because you said he has like 2 matches left.
Yeah,
in All Japan, and then he'll be.
I want to say the last one's on Christmas. Like it's within, like they're within the next week. No, I just remembered that Taichi used to also be in All Japan, and they tagged together when Sonata had to drop out because of his busted eye from the Korakuen show. So, I mean, Jake Lee would not be a bad addition to Suzuki-gun. Just saying.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Mix it up, add a new member there. See, he also said Shingo made a guest appearance on a recent Dragon Gate show and will be teaming up with his old love-hate buddy BB Hulk at Final Gate this year. With Kenta Marufuji and Shingo BB Hulk all reuniting, is there an old reunion that you like to see? Kendo Suzuki was on the Fujinami Anniversary show, and so how about a King of the Hills reunion?
I don't know if it would ever happen, but I want a Kings of Pro Wrestling reunion between Claudio Castagnoli and Chris Hero.
Yes, Kings of Pro Wrestling, that was one of my favorite teams in Ring of Honor. Those guys were dope.
Like, admittedly, my pro knowledge only goes back to about 2017-ish, mid-year, so I don't have as deep of a connection to a lot of the older teams that may have split up or moved on from now. But like for me, when I discovered Kenta in 2014, I figured out who Marufuji was back then. I'm like, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
And then, the reaction of Shingo showing back up in Dragon Gate for the first time in a very long time, and the reaction it got, it's good. I love it.
Yeah, for me, I'd probably say, I know it doesn't seem like they've been apart that long, but Golden Lovers, Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, one of my favorite teams. Those guys, always incredible together, and just some great tag matches. So, yeah, I would love a Golden Lovers reunion, and we might get that in AEW. So, we'll see what happens there.
That'll just be risky when they work with New Japan. Just saying.
And he says, what's the more forbidden love, Omega and Ibushi, or Shingo and BB Hulk?
I'm not well versed in Dragon Gate, so I don't know the love-hate or the love-love relationship that Shingo and BB Hulk may or may not have. So I can't really weigh in on this one.
Yeah, same here. I'm not super familiar, with Shingo and BB Hulk's previous relationship or what happened in Dragon Gate.
Dynamic, whatever it was. I'm just not aware.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for the questions for recommended match of the week. We're back on that this week. So I'm recommending for everybody to watch Road to Tokyo Dome 2015. Kazuchika Okada and Tomohiro Ishii versus Tanahashi and Shibata.
Let's go.
Yeah, so that's a great tag match right there. And then I want to splice in some audio here. Josh sent in a little 5-minute message for his recommended match of the week. So I'll put that in right here.
Hey everybody, the young boy Joshua Smith here doing a little cameo on my own podcast, a little run-in if you will. I know that I wasn't here this week. Once again, I basically found a way to finagle my way out of having to watch and review the entire Tag League tour. But in actuality, as I'm sure Jeremy's explained to you guys, I am in the middle of preparing to take another FINRA test this week, which is kind of preventing me from devoting the right amount of time and preparation to the show as you guys are deserving. So, but I didn't want you to go another week without us doing recommended match of the week. So just very briefly, before I took my hiatus from the show back in November, Jeremy had recommended to me the match from AEW Dynamite on November 23rd between Chris Jericho and Tomohiro Ishii for the ROH World Title. And let me tell you guys, this match was incredible. I mean, great story, great atmosphere, two old timers that are going out there and just maximizing their minutes and getting the most out of everything that they're doing. You know, they told a pretty simple story. It's not unlike what we see from Suzuki today, but maybe just slightly a little bit more athletic, where these two guys have scouted one another. They try all their tricks. They're not going to work. So they end up resorting to just beating each other mercilessly with chops and kicks. And this match obviously is going to get a lot of attention and be very infamous for the hard way / potential blade job from Chris Jericho on his chest. I'm not really sure one way or the other. I went back and rewatched this just to kind of find out. And it looks like the blood occurred while we were on commercial break. And it very well could have been a blade job. I mean, that's how crazy Chris Jericho is. Also, at the same time, I have seen people bleed profusely from, chops gone awry. And that's what might have occurred here. I'm not sure. But this match was really, really enthralling once they started bleeding. And the big apron spot from Ishii where he took a DDT and landed straight on his head. These guys had the crowd in the palm of their hands. And down the stretch, there was a really great moment where Ishii was put in the lion tamer, the old school lion tamer, and he gives the middle finger to Chris Jericho, but at the last second, he's unable to defiantly, not tap out, and he ends up tapping out with the middle finger and sets off into the sunset. So unfortunately, Ishii was unsuccessful in his ROH World Title challenge, but the match was a winner. We, the fans, were a winner. I'm somewhere between 4.25 and 4.5 on this. I'd probably give this that mythical 4 1/3, 4.333 repeating. But if you haven't seen this match, go out of your way Check it out. It was incredible.
I want to give you guys a quick recommended match of the week. So for Jeremy, let's go back. Now, this is outside of we are now in the 2023 grading period for excursion match of the week. However, I want to go back just a little bit, check something out that maybe we didn't all see and maybe didn't get a chance to get the recognition or love it deserves to actually even make it for the Keepin It Strong Style year-end awards. But I'd like us to go back to the PWA Black Label / MCW Coliseum Finals Night 2 from October 8th, 2022, as our good friend Robbie Eagles challenged for the crown against Adam Brooks. So that's the show that I am challenging Jeremy to go out, track down, watch that match, and let's see, was this a miss? Was this something that should have been on the Excursion Match of the Year awards for the nominees? If not, no worries. If it was, our bad. But I felt like this is probably one that would be really cool to check out, so that's going to be my recommendation. Thank you guys for listening. I'll kick it back to Jeremy and Karen, and I will be on the show next week, and hopefully I will be riding high from a successful FINRA test exam that I've passed once again, and if not, I will return to the show in shame. See you guys next week. Thank you for listening.
All right. Thanks, Josh, for sending that audio in. So, yeah, Josh's match, the PWA Black Label Coliseum final matchup with Robbie Eagles versus Adam Brooks. So, check that out. Great matchup there for the Excursion matchup of the week. Well, Karen, thanks so much for coming in and filling in for Josh. Yeah, make sure you send him your bill, your booking fee.
Oh, it's gonna be an itemized list. He's gonna hate every minute of it. Maybe I'll make him watch some Joshi on top of it.
Go ahead and tell our listeners where they can find you online and plug anything you're working on right now.
You can find me doing Stardom and New Japan coverage over at postwrestling.com. I also have a column called Dream Slam Weekly that comes out every Saturday. If you are into, not just wrestling, but like stuff about Japanese culture and everything else, you can follow me on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and YouTube at Hey Karen Sensei. And I also occasionally do some work for Pro Wrestling Illustrated. If you managed to pick up the women's 150 issue that got released last month, I interviewed Shuri in Japanese and as the number one woman of 2022. So that's where I'm at right now.
Awesome. So yeah, follow Karen online, support all of her work that she's doing. She's doing great work on the online community. So check it out and support her when one day she's on New Japan commentary. Set it next to Kevin Kelly calling some IWGP women's title matches.
It'll be that, or he'll be making fun of Show right in front of me, and I'll be like beat red. It'll be fun. It'll be fine. I'll be miserable. It'll be great.
Well, that's going to wrap things up for the show this week. Next week, we'll be back to review the Tag League Finals and preview Road to Tokyo Dome. I'm sure we'll get tons of news about Wrestle Kingdom coming out from the World Tag League and Super Junior Tag League Finals. Also, make sure you vote in our year-end awards. You can go to bit.ly/Kiss Awards to vote in our end-of-the-year awards. The deadline is December 31st, 11:59. So you do have some time to rewatch some matches, do your research before you vote. But don't wait too long. Get those votes in. And, these are your awards. It's the listeners' awards. You guys decide who's winning. So go ahead and vote. And don't forget to share your ballots with us and who you voted for on Twitter. Use the hashtag KissAwards. And if you enjoyed today's show, please consider making a donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. Make sure you connect with us on social media. On Twitter, the show is at KI Strong Style. You can follow me at Jeremy L. Donovan. The network is at Social Suplex. On Facebook, we're facebook.com/Social Suplex. On Instagram, at Social Suplex. On Reddit, I am the Pro Black Guy. Josh is Keeping a Strong Style. You can email me, Jeremy at socialsuplex.com. And check out all the other shows that we have here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. One Nation Radio, hosted by Rich Latta and James Boyd. The Grave Consequences, hosted by Caleb and Maserati. All Things Elite with Floyd Johnson and Austin Tumowitz. The AEW Match Guide podcast, hosted by Sir Sam. And The Great Match Generator, hosted by Danny Kukler. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review. And we will catch you next week on Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts.
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.
We all have a lot on our plates. Work, kids, relationships. And sometimes it can be hard to just catch a breath. When life is go, 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 it matters where you stay. Hilton's family of brands is team members dedicated to making you feel truly cared for, so you can mentally check out before you even check in. Take the break you deserve and book your next stay on Hilton.com. Hilton, for the stay.
By giving, people will be helping Nationwide Children's Hospital find cures, brighten patients' holidays, and people will be able to support their neighbors when they need it most. When they donate, they will activate in real time a butterfly-inspired light show for patients this holiday season. They will add holiday cheer to the lives of kids who really need a reason to smile. No one wants to think about their child being sick, but should that day come, the donation they make this year could help the care their child could need in the future. Please give now at nationwidechildrens.org/give.